Hello, WatchGood Plus friends and listeners. Cupcake here. We are not gone. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day did not make us hate cinema. We just wanted to let you know that we did take a week off. Mike had a birthday and he actually went to Vegas to celebrate. While he was out, I guested on our YouTube brothers, and now for something a little bit different. So there are two hosts, the two Johns, John Horgan, John Nance, and I guested along with Samurai from The Gentleman's Guide to Midnite Cinema, Linus, formerly of the Death by DVD podcast, and Kevin Matthews of the Raiders of the podcast. So 6 total people. And we actually discussed Supergirl, which unfortunately is taking a lot of heat right now and is the first DC Gunverse bomb. This is a huge, supersized discussion of Supergirl. We talk about it all, the comic history. We talk about the movie itself, the good, the bad. Is it good? Do we want to see more? So buckle in. It's a great episode, and it is supersized just for you.
We haven't been formally introduced.
Okay, and welcome back, guys. Now for something a little bit different. We are back, and this week we're going to be talking about Supergirl from 2026. And of course, with a title like Supergirl, we brought the super team. That's right, we have the ultimate crossover event. We have multiple guests, guys. As usual, we have frequent collaborator, Mr. Jose Cupcake himself. Welcome, Jose, as usual. At this point,
Hello.
You should just have your MVP card because you've been here on the show so much.
Oh, yay.
We have, for the first time, we have Mr. Kevin Matthews from Raiders of the Podcast. Kevin, welcome aboard, my friend. It's good to see you. I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, great to be here in such esteemed company. Thank you.
Oh, get out of here, dude. It's awesome. You were kind enough to have me on Raiders, and I had a blast. Also, we welcome Linus. Linus, welcome, my friend. Linus is a frequent collaborator to Death by DVD. It's my first time meeting him, and he's a great guy. Great conversation so far ahead of time. And of course,
and an incredible musician. Okay.
Awesome. Love the theme music you did. And also a big welcome to Sammy from The Gentleman's Guide to Midnite Cinema. Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, I'm bringing up the rear here. It's good to see everybody. And bringing up the rear is typically what I do. On pretty much what I'm going to do the whole show is bring up.
That's usually my job.
It's Pride Month, but Pride Month's all year long.
You're gonna get Momoa than you asked for.
I love it.
But no, it is fun to be here. I don't normally do video podcast. Jose knows this. That's how I kind of broke my video cherry, so to speak. I don't like.
I am honored.
I don't. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't like to look at myself. So I got myself very minimized and out of the way. But I wanted to make sure you guys saw my face, and that's all I got. That's it. I'm out of juice already. I'm out of juice.
Well, dude, we're so excited to have you here, man, and talk about the movie, for sure. So with all that said, we're going to get into, before we get into the actual movie, we're going to get into a little bit of history of the comic book. And for this, I'm going to defer to my good buddy, Mr. John Nance, who's a huge comic nerd like myself, and knows a lot of the history of Supergirl. So he's going to just give us a brief rundown on a little bit of the history of the comic book.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And again, thank you all for joining us. This is going to be fun, our own epic crossover event for 2026.
So Justice League.
Right? Yeah. No Wonder Twins, though. That's okay. But yeah, we're talking Supergirl, who's had a very distinguished and often interesting comic book history, right? She was first introduced back in 1959, Action Comics number 252, created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino. And when she debuted, right, she of course was a supporting character to the Man of Steel himself, Superman. But back in the day when she was introduced, DC Comics had a huge positive influx of reactions from readers, right? So she was a hit. And for many, many years, 1959, she's been on many adventures herself. But in the 80s, right, we talk about how great the 80s were. Well, in 1985, they started a new storyline, DC Comics, called Crisis on Infinite Earths. And with Crisis, it kind of changed the story of Supergirl. Yes, her name was Kara Zor-El, but not many people knew this. When she was first introduced, her alter ego name was Linda Lee. What? It's like, a Stan Lee thing going on here. But in 1985, with issue number 7, Crisis on Infinite Earths, they actually killed off Supergirl. She died defending Superman and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
She was not to be seen again as Kara Zor-El. There have been many iterations, right? Non-Kryptonian, probably the most famous to have come about for those who know comic books, Power Girl, right? Who was actually her alter being from another parallel universe, right? This whole multiverse, infinite Earths thing.
Power Girl, Power Girl, you could almost say with her outfit that's a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It creates a crisis in my house, that's for sure.
Yeah. For those of you, Jose may not know what Power Girl looks like, but if you Google her, she is she's globy.
She's quite powerful in a lot of ways.
Very globy. Matter of fact, she has the perfect actress in mind, Sydney Sweeney. That's all I'm going to say.
I see.
She got great pics.
Wow.
Yeah. So they had all these different incarnations, different backgrounds, but none of them were Kara. Yeah. Never Kara Zor-El. Right. It wasn't until 2004, Jeff Loeb and Michael Turner. Now, I don't know how many folks on the panel know Jeff Loeb. Any movies come to mind?
I know Jeff Loeb, one of the movies, but mostly I know him for helping create the Heroes TV show. Yeah.
Yep. Heroes. Movie wise, we're talking Teen Wolf.
Oh yeah.
Teen Wolf 2. And I think we've all seen it. Commando. I mean, come on. Right. But he teams up with Michael Turner, who back in 2004, hot, amazing artist, right? And they came up with a series called Superman Batman. And with issue number 8, I don't know if you can quite see it, there's a new girl in town.
Oh.
And they reintroduce Kara Zor-El to the DC universe. And it runs 6 issues, 8 through 13. It's a fantastic story, fantastic art. Little personal note, Jeff Loeb lost his son at the age of 17 to bone cancer by 2006. 2 years later, his co-creator of Superman Batman, Michael Turner, again, he's a fantastic artist. Yeah. But at the age of 35, he also passed from bone cancer.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And the one unironic thing was the issue number 13, which closed out the storyline, was to be hitting the newsstands. They said, I think it was October of 2004. Well, on October 4th? That's when Christopher Reeve had passed. So they gave him a tribute as well. So they kind of closed the whole time together. But they would also, a year later, bring Supergirl back again into another series, right? Which continues on from the Jeff Loeb, Michael Turner series. The interesting thing is in 1959, right? Her origin story pretty much was her floating city. She was born after Superman, and something happened to a meteorite collided with them, right? Releasing kryptonite into their city. So she escaped, came to Earth. In the Superman Batman series, they kind of altered it a little bit where she crashes into Gotham City and Batman discovers her, and eventually Darkseid captures her and turns her evil, but then she turns good, and that's kind of where we saw it go from there. Which why the animated movie is called Superman Batman Apocalypse. Fantastic animated movie. Then there's another restart of her origin, and it comes after, for those who follow comics or even maybe saw the movie, after Flashpoint, right? They tweaked her origin once again, where she's actually born. She's a teenager before Kal-El is even born. And when he's born is when they send him off. But with the destruction of Krypton, her parents sent her off as well to protect him. However, she was knocked a little bit off course, came into our galaxy and was orbiting the sun for several years, and then finally crash lands in Siberia. So technically Superman.
Здравствуйте.
Yeah, Siberia. During Russian bear mating season. Yeah, it's bad. But the genesis of all that kind of comes into play with, I think was as Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow, which this movie is based off of, right? Where he takes part of every little bit of reiteration of her origin story to create this basically new one and leave it at that. Supergirl is still running. She's still a very popular character. And matter of fact, for those who do follow comics, if you're a Green Lantern fan, the War of Light, she becomes Supergirl, Red Daughter of Krypton. Yeah, she dons a red ring. For those who don't know, red is rage.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums up a little bit about her character. So that's hopefully, clue some folks in on her origin, her stories, and her journey through comic book history.
Ooh, I like. Actually, what's weird though is at least recently the movies seem to mimic this comic sort of thing, because in Flashpoint, The Flash, the movie was based on Flashpoint. And they introduced Supergirl there, and she was played by Sasha. I think it's Calle, because I think she's Hispanic, but they introduced her in that movie as well. But then obviously in the comics, after Flashpoint, the New 52, Jeff Johns taking over DC. Some may say destroying DC later. There's so many revisions with him. Like there was the New 52, and then he was like, let's just restart it again, and kind of became a weird DC kind of thing. But it's odd that the movies seem to mimic that, because we had a Supergirl movie in the 80s, which was that was directed by Jeanette Schwartz. It had Helen Slater, Faye Dunaway in a very campy role. That basically the 84 Supergirl was Madam Web before there was a Madam Web. It's pretty fantastic. And then now we've got a reboot of the Supergirl story, which is kind of interesting. But I'm curious, is anybody, John, that was a great history or summarization, summary of like her history. Was anybody else on this Supergirl 6 panel a fan or had read Supergirl comics?
I am not a fan of Supergirl per se. I do have the Crisis series. I have that same exact book actually in the board and just everything that John has above his head there.
Yep.
So I don't read comics as often as I used to. I used to buy them and read them religiously for many, many, many years. I have a lot in the closet over here to my right. A shit ton, you could say. But
next to the porn.
Yeah. Which I weirdly have more of that. But
like to boot it as well.
Some of it has Supergirl in it, oddly. No. But I am more familiar with her from the cheesiness of the 80s film, which I enjoy because it's such an oddity. A film made, it seems, to maybe get some tax credits, or at least for the Salkins, I think, to keep the name, or to keep the Supergirl name in case. I think they made it in a rush. That director fascinates me. I think he did Somewhere in Time and
yes,
and Jaws 2.
Yeah.
So he's a director of many different, and some would say non-diverse talents.
Ill repute.
I enjoy his work. Honestly, I really like Jaws 2 because it's kind of a slasher shark movie as opposed to. I mean, the first Jaws is a masterpiece. It stands out on its own for obvious reasons, but Jaws 2 is the sequel, in my opinion, that works because it's personal. That's right.
It is. Well,
they tried to make
the revenge was personal, but
yeah, the revenge got real personal, but personally, it was real rough. I love it. For the record, I love all of them, but I'm not one to. I've never reviewed a Jaws film, probably because I love them too much. I don't know if I could. I think they're critic proof. But anyway, all this is a long way of me saying that I've always been. I'm a DC guy by nature. That's where I'm at. My favorite hero probably of all time is like Green Lantern. I mean, that's my favorite. The Hal Jordan Green Lantern. I know I might get canceled. You know, that's what I grew up with, Hal Jordan. And I've always loved DC more than Marvel. And that's blasphemy as well. You might lose some listeners, but it's just the truth.
Hey, that's fine.
Yeah, I love it. I love DC. I mean, their characters are wacky. And I've always enjoyed that stuff like well, I can't name anything off the top of my head. I've been working on podcasting too much this morning, so I'm drawing some pop culture blanks right now. But like Elongated Lad and crazy stuff like that.
Ragman,
Ambush Bug.
Ragman, I'm a big fan of. Yeah, love Ragman. Kind of a derivative Batman character, and obviously, you know, Batman being. We kind of talked about this. Jose and I did earlier this morning with like the Zorro character. Kind of my fascination with Zorro is kind of tied to my fascination with Batman and people being heroes and all that kind of stuff. And of course, my favorite thing about any comic book character, it's still my ultimate favorite thing, is that Superman is disguised just by wearing glasses and regular clothes. I just think that's the most genius and amazingly stupid disguise ever that nobody can figure out. But as a kid who grew up wearing glasses, I thought it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hypno glasses.
Hypno glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah. The early ones, I think the early ones they were hypnotizing people. But by the time you get to Corenswet, who's 6'5", 240 pounds, fills out a suit like nobody's business.
Hello.
Put some glasses on, and people are like,
Yeah.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it.
You look nothing like Superman.
Yeah. How about you, Linus?
Same as Sammy, really. I'm
Sammy?
only aware of Supergirl in the comics through her getting killed in Crisis, really. And then some appearances in the cartoons, and I tried to cram Woman of Tomorrow for the show, but I had some friends over and ran out of time. Apparently, I got to read a comic for a podcast. Can we hang out at another time? It isn't an acceptable excuse.
Not a viable excuse. No. Awesome.
How about you, Kevin?
Oh, this is the part where I'm way out of my depth. I'm here for the movie chats. I barely see comics. I do read more now. I use the apps. I use the DC Infinite and the Marvel Unlimited. So I've enjoyed going back though. But because of my kind of OCD nature, I'm like, I need to find issue 1 and start there. And then someone says, they've redone that 10 times. You can pick up anywhere from the last 50 years. I'm like, no, issue 1. So I didn't get to Women of Tomorrow. I was familiar with the 80s film, and obviously when the character popped up in Superman, that was my level. I do hear good things about that Women of Tomorrow graphic novel, though, so I will try and check that out.
Yeah, the half that I've read is great.
Oh, how much did you get through? I
got exactly halfway through so far. It's very good.
Excellent. I know, John, you, Horgan, you have read Woman of Tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah, so my familiarity, like a lot of you guys, it comes with like Crisis, seeing a lot of the animated stuff, I like DC and Marvel growing up. Definitely a lot of DC stuff, like the oddball characters like you were talking about, I love the Spectre, like Firestorm, some of these kind of characters that probably don't get enough love. And Supergirl was one of the people that would pop up. But I wouldn't say that I was someone that actually religiously went out of my way to buy the comic book. But when I saw the movie last year for Superman, and I saw that they were going to be using Woman of Tomorrow, the graphic novel, as the source material, I read it on Hoopla, and then I was really impressed by it. So I went out and bought a physical copy, and I really like it. Tom King's the writer, and I think he's a pretty solid writer as far as writers go. So I think it's definitely worth checking out. Definitely on that Hoopla app, like I said, check it out for free, so it doesn't cost you anything. So
nice,
yeah,
nice. We should also mention that there is a Supergirl television show with Melissa Benoist, I think is how you pronounce it.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
Benoist.
Benoit, Ben what something, I don't know.
Or Ben Moist. I don't know.
Ben Moy. Whoa, yeah. I mean, she is pretty.
Hey,
That's pretty.
Did I leave my closet door open? Damn it. Damn.
That is part of the CW quote unquote Arrowverse. Greg Berlanti, prolific producer, also out. I like to class Greg Berlanti as like Ryan Murphy if he had an actual brain. So anyway, moving on. So that brings us to Supergirl. So interestingly enough, this is the second film. Actually, technically, it would be the third because, as everybody knows, the DCEU was started. Zack Snyder was the architect. There was a lot of, man, do I hate that guy? Man, do I love that guy with the DCEU movies. Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. And then, they kind of let him go and they wanted to reboot, and enter James Gunn, who I know everybody here knows him from his Trauma days, as well as films like Slither or Super, which is a really interesting indie take on crazy people becoming superheroes. But then, of course, James Gunn would go on to do the Guardians of the Galaxy, which in a way seems to be his MO when it comes to crafting these films, because the first, so DC Studios, this is now the third technical film. And I say third because he is saying that he's including Blue Beetle as a movie that is part of this new DC universe. But the first movie obviously was Superman, which I think there was a lot riding on that. And thankfully it went off well. I think a lot of us here enjoyed that. Although my opinion of Superman was that I think there was way too many ingredients in that stew. Probably could have been pared down and still would have had the great same result. And so now this film, Supergirl, was never intended to be the second film. I couldn't tell you what was intended to be the second film, but they fast-tracked this. Apparently the script, written by a lady named Ana Nogueira, who I did not realize was on the Vampire Diaries. She played a character named Penny Eris, and she also originated the Eliza Hamilton role in the Vassar Workshop edition of Hamilton before it went to Broadway. But she is actually an actress. James Gunn apparently loved her script so much that they greenlit this. Nogueira is one of the staff writers, I suppose, on this project that they're calling Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. So she actually has her hands in some of the upcoming films, allegedly a Untitled Teen Titans film and possibly a Wonder Woman film. So that is our screenwriter here. Our director.
Is she tied to the Clayface film at all?
I don't think so, but I think they all put their input into these sort of projects. Like I think Gunn does a roundtable in some ways, but that is, thank you for bringing that up, Sammy. That's actually the next film, which again is another one of those sort of Gunn-esque moves that he's trying to do. It's a villain film, Clayface. I don't think a lot of us know who Clayface is, but I got to tell you, those trailers are very eye-catching. So I can't wait. Although, John, you know Clayface? Clayface is yeah.
Clayface actually, in one of the comic storylines, plays a huge blind side to a lot of fans. A little bit to give away. Apparently, he was Robin for the longest time.
Oh, really?
See. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I think I remember that.
I wonder if they reveal that.
Yeah. I think Clayface's first, one of the cool things about him as a villain, I believe, maybe, I could be getting this conflated with another villain, but wasn't he a silent film star or a film star before?
He was a film star, yep.
Yeah. And then he became a villain,
Yeah.
That's the version from the animated series as well,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. Wasn't the Robin reveal, is that, do you mean that reveal in Hush, or is that a separate thing?
I think it was Hush, and then because they're bringing out another version of Hush, and I think it's somewhere in between.
Yeah,
they did reveal it. Yeah.
Because there was that reveal in Hush that of who the mastermind was, and it was going to be a resurrected Jason Todd before they did all that Infinite Crisis stuff.
Yeah.
Which that was the way to do it, I thought.
Yeah.
It just turned out to be it's just Clayface, like messing around.
Yeah, but and the brilliance to that and the Hush comic line, that was a fantastic series too, by the way. Jim Lee did a lot of the art on that. It played to what Sammy you were talking about, right? It played to his origin story. He was an actor and he was so good, didn't realize who it really was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, kind of like a Lon Chaney-esque sort of actor. So that is our writer. She's the sole credit on it. And then our director is Craig Gillespie. I did not know this, but first of all, he's Australian. I knew that. But what I didn't know was that one of his first movies after he had done a lot of advertisements, music videos, was a film called Mr. Woodcock. Did anybody see this?
Yes.
With Susan Sarandon and then Billy Bob Thornton. That is his name, right? I'm sorry.
It's Billy Bob Thornton, and see it, man. I'm living it.
Wow. And then what's his face? Stifler was in it too, right?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. Yes. But what I didn't know about this is that Gillespie, after test screenings of this, walked off the project. Although, riddle me this, how do you walk off a project when it's in test screenings? Yeah. Anyway, so allegedly they had brought in a different director to punch up some stuff, add some reshoots, but Gillespie has essentially disowned Mr. Woodcock, and yet his name is still on there. So the director, David Dobkin, is the one who jumped in. And then strangely enough...
What do I know David Dobkin from?
David Dobkin directed Shanghai Nights, Wedding Crashers.
Okay. He didn't do Adam Sandler movies. Adam Sandler movies, maybe.
Yeah, Eurovision Song Contest. Did you see that?
No, but Sandler enough for me to not see it.
Yeah. I think there are some Sandler movies in there.
Might be.
But yeah, so then
Dennis Dugan,
Dennis Dugan, the actor,
the actor turned director,
exactly. But after that, he then revamped a script he was working on, Lars and the Real Girl. And then that became essentially the indie film that put him on the map, Ryan Gosling as well, in some ways. He has also done the film I, Tonya, which many remember, with Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan. And then he is credited with kind of turning around the Cruella movie, which was kind of a disaster until he kind of stepped in and actually made it a big hit. He also then released Dumb Money, which is the GameStop short squeeze film. I know a lot of people actually love that movie. I haven't seen it.
I can't watch it. That actor's, Tarantino doesn't like that actor. I will not mention his name. I will not talk.
Paul Dano. I love Paul Dano.
I'm being very facetious right now.
Yes. And then our DP is a gentleman named Rob Hardy. For whatever reasons, I thought it was the DP that works a lot with Neil Marshall, but that's Sam McCurdy, which doesn't sound at all like Rob Hardy. But Hardy shot
another Woodcock thing, man. I mean, that's my MO. I'm Rod Hardy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh. Oh my goodness! Did we not get all the sex out with our recording?
We didn't.
What happened?
We didn't. We still got lots to go.
Yeah, we do. But so Rob Hardy, British cinematographer. He started with the film Boy A. If you haven't seen that was Andrew Garfield's first film. He is amazing in that. But he would also go on to work with Alex Garland and has lensed nearly all of Garland's films: Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men, Civil War. He is actually the DP for Clayface, so we will have that to look forward to as well. And he shot Mission Impossible Fallout, which I think has one of the most beautiful looks to it. There's a lot of sort of daring cinematography that they did in Fallout, and I love the way that looks.
So he's worked with Tom Cruise, or for Tom Cruise, I should say.
Essentially.
Not with. Nobody works with Tom.
Yes, it's for. Kevin, Rob I'm sorry, Kevin.
Rod.
Craig Gillespie.
Rod Hardy.
Craig Gillespie. But I forgot to mention he remade Fright Night, and I know a lot of people poo-poo that movie, but it's actually really good. Yeah. It's actually a really good remake, at least to me anyway. It's also written by Marty Noxon, female screenwriter who had written for Buffy, shepherded a couple of those seasons as well. But Kevin, what do you think about Craig Gillespie, and more importantly, would you have picked him to do Supergirl or even a superhero movie? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think he's a safer choice than saying the phrase DP in conversation with Sammy in the mix.
Or me, for that matter. Okay.
I think.
On my screen, Jose's on the far right. I'm on the far left. You guys are all in between me and him. So you guys are the finger cuffs. Yeah, you go.
Stop! I have a laptop open in front of me. I will damage it if I spit on it.
That's what she said. Hey, yo.
Sorry. Good job.
Giggity. Gillespie.
Yes.
I tend to enjoy his movies, but since Tonya, I haven't seen Lars and the Real Girl. Since Tonya, he is very much kind of doing I think what he does well is kind of a greatest hits approach or a compilation album approach. He gets the needle drops in there. Cruella was all about the needle drops and the visuals. I kind of liked both of those and liked Emma Stone having fun in the role. Dumb Money was a nice sort of basic way to explain how that situation all panned out, and he did well with that. But I don't necessarily think he was the right choice for this film, and just because I think Gunn should have been a bit more careful in picking very specific people for very specific projects. And I'm not sure what the absolute right or the absolute wrong way would be, but like I don't think of Supergirl and think, oh, Craig Gillespie would be a great choice for handling that material. I just think, for me, Superman was such a great success that there is still a lot riding on every decision that's coming forward for a while. And it's really important to keep that momentum going. I just wouldn't have necessarily gone with Gillespie for that. Like, it's a roll of the dice for me, whereas I think you could have got someone, much more suited to the material. Maybe even, here's a thought, had a female director helming this, and hope for some success in the way that Wonder Woman was such a great success when that came out.
Yeah, with Patty Jenkins. Horgan, your experience with Gillespie, and I'm going to pose this question to you. If you haven't seen a lot of Gillespie films, you can certainly pass on the follow-up question. But your experience with Gillespie, and then more importantly, do you think Gillespie has a style? Is there a definable that's a Craig Gillespie film? So
I'll answer your second question first. Two things out of order here. I think he has a versatility in the films that he picks. But I don't know if I necessarily see a through line with his style. Now, as far as his films go, I think I've seen everything except for Dumb Money, and I've enjoyed it, man. I pretty much I like Cruella. I thought it was an interesting take on the character. Loved Tonya. I might get made fun of, but I like Mr. Woodcock, man. It was stupid, but I'm a Sean William Scott apologist. I'll watch anything he does. I mean, and he does.
Me too. I think you and I have that in common. I love Sean William Scott.
And the same thing with Billy Bob. I love Billy Bob. I'll support anything he does, good or bad. I think he's just a one of a kind actor. So I was all there for that. Yeah, I mean, really, I really enjoyed all of his filmography. Now, as far as being the right choice for the film, it's such a tough question for me to answer, because it's like you never know what is or what isn't going to be the right choice, because you've seen like indie directors step up to the plate to some of these big tentpole movies, and they just absolutely hit it out of the ballpark. And then sometimes you don't. And then you get guys like Brett Ratner who, will be given $300 million or $200 million. And, this guy has a filmography of making tentpole movies or big budget movies, and it completely, falls on his face for most of them.
He shits the bed.
Yeah,
we're looking at X-Men 3, The Last Stand, folks. That's what we're looking at right now. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's hard to kind of like make that judgment of like whether they're going to have what it takes to step up to the plate and really bring it home, because there have been actors that have come from relative obscurity and then really brought it in, So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it could have been amazing. It could have been horrible. It was a toss of the dice for me, at least.
Yeah. Sammy, you called him. Did you call him a workman's director?
Yeah, I think I did on our show this morning, right? Because that's what he is. That's what he is to me. I do not think he has a style. I don't think he has a style at all. I think what he is, I think he gets shit done, for lack of a better word. And I think that's why he gets hired. And I think, honestly, that's why Gunn probably hired him. I think Gunn probably hired him to behind the scenes kind of go over what he's doing and say, no, Craig, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. A good example, without talking about this film too much, is, this movie has one fight scene 4 times in a row, 4 or 5 times. It has one style of fight scene, guys. One style. The carousel fight scene, over and over and over and over. And it's like it's the only thing he knows how to shoot in this movie. I don't understand that. I don't know what's going on there. I understand that she's powerful. I get it, but Jesus Christ. I did like Tonya. It's kind of like Goodfellas on ice skates a little bit. It's got kind of a nice narrative style. Goodfellas.
Appropriate description.
What's the name of those ice skating reviews, those figure skating shows? Something Disney on Ice or something. Anyway.
Sure. Goodfellas on Ice.
It is Goodfellas on Ice. I do like Lars and the Real Girl. I do think that is a real film and a real solid film. And it is his best film that I have seen. I have seen Woodcock. Weird to say that out loud. But we're
talking about the movie still.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Yeah.
Little mystery there.
Yeah. I watched that one one-handed, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
But I have seen more than a handful of his films. My son is a big fan of his Cruella film. I never watched it. It just didn't interest me. And therein lies the problem with me and Gillespie. Gillespie. Well, whatever. If we say that enough times fast, we could almost be like made fun of for being lispy, I think. And so I'm going to try to refrain from saying Craig G. But Craig G, I don't know. I just don't think he has a style. I think he's probably easy to work with, and that's why he keeps getting the work he does. He's done quite a few films, and you meet guys like this every now and then that not meet them, but you see their films and you think to yourself, why does this guy keep getting work? But every now and then he hits one out of the park with the audiences, and that's all it takes. Yeah.
Linus, what do you think about Gillespie? Have you seen a lot of his films?
I've seen and I enjoyed Lars and the Real Girl. I was pleasantly surprised by Fright Night and Cruella for films that I had no real interest in seeing. I did watch them, and I thought they were perfectly fine. But yeah, like you've all said, I can't see much of a style or a through line, and yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
fine is going to be a very operative word, I think, for me. This podcast.
Spoiler alert, John. How do you feel about?
But not perfectly. Just the word.
But
fun.
not perfect. Right. John, how do you feel about Gillespie? And then I'll move on to cast.
So for Gillespie, I'm with Sammy. I don't see a real style, right? I think he's one of those directors who comes on board. He's handed a script. He kind of gets from the script how it's supposed to be shot and all that good stuff, and he just goes with it.
Yeah. That is a talent. I mean, it sounds like I'm making light of it because running a movie is insane. I mean, the amount of people that work and everything else. So it is a major talent to be able to get as many films made as he has done. I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. However, kind of what Kevin was saying with Supergirl in particular. I did like Tonya, Lars, of course, Woodcock. It's hard to say, exactly if I'm right or if I'm wrong. It's just what I kind of picked up, right? With Supergirl in particular, right? He had the script, But it seemed like all those years where he was shooting 15-second or 30-second commercials, right? That type of run and gun shooting with each clip and then put all the scenes together is what I was picking up a lot of. There was like no real continuity or flow, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And I don't. I think after it might be unfortunate because I think he still has one more good film in him at least. But I think with Supergirl, I think he's going to get hammered a little hard for the direction of this movie, and it's not entirely his fault.
Right. I agree with that. I feel like there is a whole other version of this movie that we did not get to see.
Right.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah.
Isn't there 25 minutes was cut out of it apparently?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Linus,
that's right.
for letting me or for bringing that up. So basically, this movie was tested through the ringer. I think the quote was there were more test screenings for this particular film than there have been in the DCEU history. And from what I read at the last two, they ended up shaving off 25 minutes of it. And I think that's when the internet collectively was like, we will hate fuck this really hard after they heard that. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. Did anyone really want to saddle up for a 2.5 Supergirl? I don't know. But
no, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, when my son reached out to me and said he wanted to go see this, I mean, usually the first thing I do with most of these newer kind of big films is see how long they are so I can kind of plan my evening around. I mean, I get up super early, and so I get tired very quickly.
So you take a gummy.
Yeah. So I get there and I'm looking on the phone and the phone says 1 hour and 47 minutes. And I'm like, yes, thank God. Okay. We're already we're winning.
All right.
Yes.
So I was very happy about that. So no, I do not want that. I don't think that every superhero movie warrants that kind of runtime. Obviously that's the runtime it probably would have been if they'd have left that 25 minutes in.
That is true.
I just got to think to myself, and I made this joke. Maybe it's too early to make the joke. Maybe I'll just wait. I'll wait until we get to the review proper before I make the joke. But you know, I have an alternate title for this movie, which I'll mention when we.
Yes, I cannot wait. Also, I would blame the Russos for this because, you know, whatever the last one was called, it's now escaping my mind. Endgame was like 3.5 hours, right? And it's like, oh, we'll just do what the Russos did.
I blame
3 hours.
It's weird you mentioned that. I blame the Russos for a lot of things. I blame them for, first of all, making a standout comic book film in Winter Soldier. And I blame them in a good way for that.
The exemplar.
Of that universe. But I also blame them for, in my opinion, hurting comic book filmmaking. I mean, it became
they were one part of that whole entire equation that ruined the superhero movie experience.
Took the style.
They may get their chance to ruin even further this December. Speaking of not her fault and getting hammered, Milly Alcock, this is the actress that they chose for Supergirl. There have been some very unfortunate comparisons or talk about her looks. And
I saw the Geico caveman meme, I believe,
or the Chaka from Land of the Lost.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, Chaka.
Come on, y'all, stop.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen that she looks a lot like Will Poulter's sister, which I don't know. I think Will Poulter's kind of fucking hot. So there you go. I don't know why that's a bad comparison. But so Milly Alcock, I think a lot of people will know her from House of the Dragon. She played the younger version of. I can't remember the name of the actress, but she's pretty fantastic. Emma Corrin, I think, is her name. Maybe. But I think that's where most people will know her from. So we've got her. David Corenswet obviously shows up. It's funny, Sammy, when you say Corenswet, I see CORN space SWEAT.
Yeah,
Corenswet appears here as Superman. There is some talk that they added a lot of these Superman scenes. I have my own opinion about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And then in You Can't Do That casting, we've got Jason Momoa as Lobo. I know that Lobo is a great amazing character that people love. But when I say you can't do that, this sparks of Chris Evans in 2 Fantastic Four films, and then they cast him as Captain America. You can't do that. He had a shot already. Like, stop. Like, find somebody else. But nonetheless, he is in here also. Blink and you'll miss David Krumholtz, who has gained a lot of weight. It was very surprising to see him like that. Emily Beecham, she, if you know her from like Into the Badlands, she played like the redhead who was chopping people's heads off with swords. We've also got Eve Ridley, and then playing the villain here, Creme of the Yellow Hills, we have Matthias Schonaerts, indie actor, conflated as Denmarkian, but he in fact is Belgian. I love Matthias Schonaerts. I think he's great. If you've not seen Bullhead and Rust and Bone, he gives amazing performances in both of those films.
Denmarkian is an inside joke, and it's still one of my favorite watch skip plus moments. I don't know. Is he Denmarkian? What is it? Denmarkian?
He's Denmarkian.
I don't know. You say Denmarkian, and then you named off those 3 movie titles. I started getting the Corenswets. I mean,
oh lordies. So I'll start with Horgan. This cast, what do you think?
I mean, I honestly didn't have a problem with anybody, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I will say, I don't want to give away too many of my thoughts. I think everybody was more than capable with what they brought to the table as far as the performances go. I think some of the performances might have been slighted because of certain script issues, which, again, I don't want to allude to that too early.
Yeah.
But I think that played a big part in where this film unfortunately failed. But again, I don't want to give away, play my hand too early, because there's more than just that. But yeah.
Got it. Linus, the cast, what did you think of them? Particularly the villain. There's a lot of talk about how people didn't like the villain, so much so that they were like, we wish we had a different villain? Question mark. What do you think?
We've got Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2 at home, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've not read into Woman of Tomorrow enough to really comment, but I can't see his redesign as being much of an upgrade. I think that's where a lot of the problems lie.
Yeah. I hear you. John, Korean Cool, what do you think of the cast? And more importantly, how did Supergirl rate without spoiling too much of your thoughts?
So without spoiling, okay, it's not the huge negative folks make it out to be, but it's definitely not great, right? It's more of a, I saw it type of movie.
Got it.
Regarding the cast, and that's where some of the criticism comes in, I have absolutely no problems with the cast. I thought Milly, actually, with what she was given script-wise and what she was directed, I thought she did fine. Yes, I saw all those memes. I thought, and this is bad of me because I saw, the Geico meme, the Chaka meme, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's Australian. Where's the feral boy? Oh, there's the feral boy meme.
Ding dong. Yeah. It's like, okay.
And it's only because of the hair. That's why I was saying it. But again, I thought Milly in following Woman of Tomorrow was great, right? I thought great is not the right word. I thought she did not let folks down with her rendition of that Supergirl. Okay.
Nice.
But again, the script is where I think, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is where the fault lies. The script and the director. The rest of the cast was great. Of course, I saw it with my wife on Thursday opening night, and we're looking at her father, and he's like, Mia's like, isn't that the guy from New Girl? I'm like, what? Yeah, the scene with Prince where he screams and just faints. It's fine. Corenswet, even though, as you said, it might not have been part of the original script, him adding to it, I think really helps bookend this movie, right? A starting point and an ending point. And I thought that was actually a smarter move than what she had, or whatever they had planned. So again, with the cast, I honestly had no problems with the cast. It's just, for me, it's the script and direction.
Yep. Kevin, Jason Momoa has gone on record as saying Lobo is really the character that he wanted to play or wants to play, and he finally gets it. If anybody has seen Fast X, we know that Momoa can chew the scenery in a way that feels fresh and maybe annoying. But what did you think of Momoa in this? Did you like him as Lobo?
That's two separate things. I liked him as Lobo. I didn't necessarily like Lobo as much in this. I thought his energy in that character unbalanced where the film could have gone elsewhere. But I did like him as Lobo. Like he brings it. He's having a blast again, as he has done in a variety of roles in Fast X. You know, see what you like about a film. He's having fun in that role, and that is quite infectious when he does that. But generally, with what they're given, I really like the cast. But I'm disappointed that you haven't already started crying about all the makeup they put on Matthias and started to say,
I know.
They had another future husband from you.
It's. I
We all
mean,
know
I
you
think
were thinking it, Jose. We know what you were thinking.
of course. But I mean, listen, I think that Matthias is one of the most beautiful men on the face of the earth. Let me tell you. But I think it would be, even by my standards, to say I want to fuck Krem would be like, okay, now you need to sit back and evaluate some things in your life.
I'll show you some yellow hills.
Sure.
I love it. That's great. Ooh. Sammy, I know we've talked a little bit about this, but just really quickly, your thoughts on the cast or even Momoa, and then we're going to get to what we want to do, which is talk about the film.
Yeah, I like the cast for the most part, but and nobody else said this, so I'm going to say it. I did not like Krim from the Yellow Hills. I found that to be one of the weakest points of this whole movie. He basically is a very one-note character and not as interesting as I think Gillespie and him think they are. An actor, he does this little thing that, and it's just a little pet peeve of mine. But he does this little laugh throughout the movie that really got on my nerves.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like that. But then, of course, he talks when he hits the little button. He's like, hey, you know, which I was down for that. But look and everything else, he talks too much. He talks too much. And to the point to where I'm like, shut up, do something and stop talking. And I never do that with bad guys. I like when bad guys get up there and recite and tell you their theories on life, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I like that stuff. But I had a lot of problems with that bad guy character. One of which including leading her to a planet. We'll get to that.
Yeah. That was, But at least with regards to Schonaerts, I think it's a shame that he's getting a lot of like kickback for his characterization here. But
he looks great. He looks great. I'll give him that.
He looks great. But
I mean, it's Mad Max bad guys is what this is.
But you have to believe that the things that annoyed you, Sammy, about it are probably things that came from his how am I going to do this character?
Yeah,
which it's a choice, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm one of these people. I'm a Momoa apologist. I just find him very charismatic. Very, you know, he can do pretty much, and he can really do no wrong for me, even when he's in terrible films or even when he's terrible in a film. He's just one of those guys for me. Yeah. So my thoughts on him, some people are going to feel exactly that way with him in this movie because the tone is weird and the tone is imbalanced throughout the movie. It's another problem I have with the movie. Again, don't think it's terrible, but there's a lot of imbalance here and a lot of back and forth that just doesn't quite pan out. But, you know, I said this to you on our show, you know, we'll get to the movie proper, but here's what else I'll say about the cast. I will go down in saying this is the most I have ever heard the leather twisting sound effect when somebody moves in a movie. Everybody is wearing leather, and everybody sounds like every time they turn sideways or anything. There is so much leather in this movie Again, it looks like my closet. That's all I'm going to say.
Kudos to the I think they call it, is it the gaff, not gaff artist,
Foley.
the Foley artist.
Oh, yeah.
Kudos to the Foley artist for putting in all the,
and
like,
the other
leathers
thing,
and stuff like that.
we'll talk about again in more detail, but also greatest cinematic cigar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. All right. So here we go. Spoiler free, and then we'll do spoiler. This is going to be a long episode. We knew it was going to be epic. Supergirl 6, okay? Yes. But here we go. Spoiler free thoughts on the second of the James Gunn films, Supergirl. Wasn't supposed to be the second one. It became the second one. Lots of goodwill going into this, and then suddenly it all crashes the week before it premieres. I'll start with the hosts, actually. Horgan, what are your spoiler-free thoughts on Supergirl?
You know, it's funny because I mulled this over a while after I walked out, really trying to really kind of wrap my head around what I really thought about it. So, you know, I'm going to start off by saying you do the one thing as a film critic you're never supposed to do, which is compare it to the source material. I know that's a big no-no. I realize that, but also objectively, I know that I can't not separate the two. So, I mean, not to start with the negative, but I'm going to. The script is, unfortunately, it needed a lot of work. The core of what was in the comic book was there, but the heart wasn't quite there, you know? For me, what I connected with this film, I think in what does work, and they did get right, this film is, at its core for me, it's about grief and trauma. And how do you move forward in your life without letting it consume you, you know? And I think hopefully not, but I'm sure most of us have either lost a good friend or a family member that we love or somebody just that meant the world to you, right? And the thing they always say when that stuff happens is that, you know, over time it gets better, and unfortunately it doesn't. You know, you don't even really, most people don't get over it, in my opinion. You just kind of you find a way to move forward.
Yeah, you learn to live with it. Yeah, you never get over it.
Yeah, you learn to live with it because you have to. You know, so for me, the relationship between Kara and I guess the girl Ruth, that at its core is what. To me, is what makes the film the special. That's the part that I think is special and works for me when it's at its strongest. I also do really connect with the flashback stuff. I think they were smart to use it sparingly to give you some context about what she went through. So obviously, if you're a comic book nerd or even just a casual fan of Superman, we all know that, like, hey, Superman came here as a baby. He got thrown into a farm in Kansas, and he was basically born and raised as an American. You know, she had this whole existence, this whole world where she's with her mom and dad before Krypton falls apart and everything goes to shit. So she has this whole other world. So by the time she gets to Earth, she's bitter. She's hurt. Yeah. She sees the brutal reality of life, where her cousin sees the optimism and looks for the best in people, you know? And you can see that throughout the film. You know, it starts off with not to get too spoiler, but it starts off with her getting drunk because she's trying to find a coping mechanism to deal with the grief. And like a lot of 20-somethings, early 20-somethings, she's celebrating her 23rd birthday. Even if you didn't have the trauma, it's all about experiencing life and partying and enjoying, you know, and overindulging. But then on top of that, you throw in the grief that's consuming her. And I think, like I said, when they deal with that, and when we get to the spoiler thoughts, when she finds, I guess, a way to kind of get past that and move forward with her life in a positive direction, is when the film works for me. I think that's when it's at its strongest. Like a lot of people, like previously we hinted at, I'm not crazy with some of the fighting sequences. I felt like something felt a little bit off. I felt like the editing to me kind of came off a little bit choppy. And sadly, I don't have an actor with the gentleman whose name I will not attempt to pronounce. Matthew, the guy that played Crumb. I won't even.
Matthias Schonaerts. Yeah.
I won't even try to butcher it. I don't have a problem with the performance he gave, but to kind of dial back to what you said, Sammy, he was kind of one note. He was kind of one dimensional, and he wasn't really fleshed out. And I guess you don't have to go crazy with that, but you do want to have an antagonist to your protagonist. And in my opinion, your antagonist should be as strong as your protagonist. And I think if they would have given that, if they would have fleshed that out a little bit more, I think it would have worked better with the story. I didn't hate the movie by any means. I don't think it, not to make the unfair comparison again, I don't think it holds up to the Superman film. But I do think there are a lot of good performances. And I think, like I said, Milly Alcock and the actress who played Ruthie, I think were probably the strongest. And I think the connection they had really worked for me. But like we all have mentioned, the script definitely was lacking. And I would highly recommend, even if you're just a casual comic book nerd, to go back and really give that Woman of Tomorrow graphic novel a shot, because even if you're just a casual reader, it really fleshes out the world a lot more. It gives you some context to some of the characters. And it really does an amazing job. It's a real, I would definitely check out anything by Tom King. I think he's a hell of a good writer. And that's a hell of a good graphic novel, even if you have no familiarity with Supergirl. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts,
Excellent. Korean Cool, you're up. What do you think?
Okay, I said it earlier, right? This movie is not the disaster folks make it out to be. However, it is just above entertaining in its sense. I think at its core, John mentioned it, I think all of us kind of like nodded our heads. I saw that the biggest issue for me is the script, right? The writing. It takes Woman of Tomorrow from the graphic novel to which it was based off of. But I know Ana, again, because I have the comics, she dove a little bit into a lot of the different parts of the canon to kind of come up with this story, or retoolized background for Supergirl. I know there's bits and pieces, again, having read the comics, like, oh my gosh, that's from that comic. If that's the way she's going, why didn't she just like really go for it, right? Really flesh it out. I don't know if she was just trying to put like her take or her spin of what she thought it was. You got great source material, right? Rely on it, learn from it. Gillespie, to his credit, he was honest enough to say, you know what, he didn't read Woman of Tomorrow, right? So, which is kind of what we were saying
problematic.
Yeah, which is okay. You didn't read the source material, to what John was saying. Don't repeat it verbatim, but the script is based off of the source material. Don't you think you should have given it a little bit of a glance?
At least.
Because what did we end up seeing, right? We started getting cinematography, and that coloring team, I would like to go down there and pimp slap the shit out of all of that coloring team.
No.
That coloring, you got backlit characters, but no forelight, so it's like, is this a shadow puppet movie? What am I watching here? You know what I mean? Even the fight sequences, right? You had all this bright background and then these dark characters or dark foreground. It's like, what am I trying to see here? Right. I wish there was a little bit of forethought to say that, you know what, if you knew Supergirl in any slight inkling, is that she is a tragic character within the DC comic universe. Again, she's a survivor of Krypton. She comes to Earth. She tries to help Superman and the humans of Earth. We kill her. Okay. We bring her back, and she's captured by Darkseid. And anybody who knows Darkseid, he manipulates her, turns her evil, but they rescue her. The reboot of the comic series picks up from that, right? She can't let go of what Darkseid did to her, right? So she has these evil thoughts, these anger management issues, right? Which is kind of what barely shown in the movie, right? Which I think if they had allowed that to come a little bit further, right? Supergirl, Kara Zor-El would have been a better, stronger character to sympathize with, because that was the one thing. It's like, I can't sympathize with her character. I don't think she's doing bad, but I can't, Supergirl. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly, okay, all of us have seen the original Superman, right? All
Yeah.
of us have heard
Yeah, I
the
think so.
theme song, the theme of Superman, right? That's what really brings it all together, right? When you see Superman, even Man of Steel with Hans Zimmer, right? His rendition, right? It's still magical music. I can't remember a piece out of this freaking movie that has me connect with Supergirl.
Yeah, there isn't. We should mention the music is by Claudia Sarn. She's married to Atticus Ross, which is maybe how she got the gig. I don't know. Anyway,
Probably.
but
you know what I mean? It's like all that combination of stuff, mishandling of the story. I'll be blunt and I'll say it, right? Ana has no business writing the script for Wonder Woman. Yank her ass off of that now.
I would say, judging from this, you might be right.
You know what I mean? The coloring, the cinematography, the editing. John, you mentioned it. It was like a choppy 15-second commercial with a 30-second commercial with a 20-second commercial, all put together. And it was colored so badly. The grading was, because again, I mean, there's just a lot of forgettable things within this movie that, again, I struggle to remember something that really truly stood out for me in this film, right? And the only thing I can come back to was a space fight sequence. And that's all I'm going to say. It has whatever 25 minutes, I really want to know what those 25 minutes were, because there are 25 minutes in what they released. I would like to swap out or cut again altogether, make the movie a little bit shorter, tighten it up even further.
Yeah,
that's my
totally. Let's go across the pond. Kevin, what'd you think of this? Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. If you want to see some super person flick open their super eyelids to show superpowers from their eyes, this is the movie for you. Because Gillespie likes that shot. He likes it. The flick open, and it's either a surge of power or the lasers are ready or something else. That's kind of the highlight I took away from this movie, unfortunately. It is the writing. And look, I know the dancer doesn't really love me and has got to take me home, but I did have some hope when James Gunn said it all starts with the writing and we're not going to move forward until the screenplay is just right. And this has proven that to be completely false. This is a big mess. And the cast, I still think they do good with what they're given, but I mean, certainly the Johns, I don't know, I'm not wanting to speak for everyone. I think a lot of us who found enough to like in this, which I did, but part of that is based on seeing the little bits that hint at the film it could have been, and what's there that's a much more interesting storyline and journey for the character. And you don't want every superhero to be grim dark, and you don't want everything to be an analogy for trauma, and I know we're all tired of that. There's just such a more interesting journey for Supergirl to be on, with the PTSD, with the isolation, with everything that you know has informed the character, that just find a way to take them to another point where there could be, a turnaround or a redemption arc without, it still doesn't have to be a planet destroying event. It doesn't have to be, another dark side or, whoever a bigger baddie is. It can still be a small scale story, but just done in a much better way with somebody who cares more. And, saying that Gillespie didn't read the source material just, really kind
it makes sense.
Up. Yeah. So it sums up what his attitude has been to the film. So it's a shame. And I also feel bad because it's one of those films that a certain contingent are waiting for with the knives out already. And
yeah, especially since it's female led, right?
Yeah. And when it's not absolutely great, and how many films are absolutely great, but if it's not quite good enough to take it just over the top of the bar, then that folk are going to come up with all of their own agendas and reasons to start slating it and ripping it apart when it's flaws in the movie, not necessarily flaws with individuals on screen who may be put through the ringer for this.
Yeah. Linus.
Yeah, I guess I have to just echo what everyone's been saying, really. But on the positive, I'll say it again. It's not as bad as I heard, but just not as good as I hoped. I mean, I was a big
I like
fan
that.
of James Gunn's Superman. I saw it 4 times. I bought a fancy 4K steelbook.
Nice.
I've watched it drunk several times, and it's great.
There you go. That's the true test right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're right in saying that the script wasn't quite there, but I think it was done in more by the direction and the drab cinematography and the kind of bland fight choreography as well. Like Sammy said, three conveyor action scenes that they're essentially the same, and of which I think by far the best is the space bus sequence. But unfortunately, what they did with that in the comic book, like with most of the movie, is a lot better, a lot more visually striking. The half of the comic book, I should say, that I've read, because I didn't get to finish it, but it's bright and it's vibrant and it's dynamic, and yeah, all things that the film unfortunately wasn't. Just too many instances of action on a planet with a sort of brown tinged filter, looking a bit sort of sloptomania.
Yeah.
But I will say, I kind of enjoyed enough of it. So if if we're doing watch or skips, it would be a watch for me still.
Nice. And Sammy, what do you think? I know what you think a little bit.
You
but
know
go
what
for
I think. I'm actually surprised you didn't mention Ferdinand Kingsley in the movie, because you have a penchant for mentioning famous brethren or famous children or famous people related to people, but
famous
nepotism. Yeah, Ben Kingsley's son, right? Ferdinand.
Yes,
I love that he's named him Ferdinand. I just think that's great. Anyway,
says something about Kingsley.
It does. Yeah, I think the problem with this movie is it is fine. My son and I watched it. I think he liked it a little bit more than I did, but it is full of problems. I don't know what all I can talk about in this chapter, so let me know if I start to veer toward what you guys might think, or Jose, what you might think is spoilery. Let me know, but I'm going to kind of get into the basics of the problems I have. First of all, I think this movie should have just been called Super Ruthie. Because honestly, it's more Ruthie's story than it is Supergirl's story, and I didn't quite understand that, but I think she's more interesting, and the Ruthie thing too that drove me crazy was, me and Jose made this joke this morning, but it's the Inigo Montoya thing. My name is Ruthie, and you killed my parents. Of the clan,
prepared to die.
Of the clan, whatever she's the clan of. Sure. Matter of fact, I mean, I did think it was genius that at one point, even Supergirl mocks her and is mouthing what she's going to say, because she's heard it so many fucking times.
Yes,
but I was thinking the same thing. But that stuff is. I mean, I like those kind of parts. I like the interaction with the characters, though. I mean, I do think Ruthie and Supergirl together are fun. I do think when Lobo is there, that adds a third kind of quotient to the problem and the formula, and I think it nails it. I love how rude he is to him. He's rude to everybody. That's kind of his character. But I love the simplicity of things. Somebody will say something, he'll say "shut up," or just very simple. He's an immortal. I have big problems with his introduction, because he just hung out in the background while Supergirl kicked everybody's ass, and he didn't make any noise or anything. I find that hard to believe. He's too boisterous and too everything else to not be in the background making noise, and to not be asking people about the brigands, which that word is said a lot in this movie. Oh, yeah. It could also have been called Super Ruthie and the Brigands.
Yes.
But there's so many things, so many leaps in logic in this movie, i.e., to kick things off, not only is she trying to find herself and everything else, she's drinking a lot, she's partying. Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around, all that kind of stuff. But how does Krem know that kryptonite is a thing. Is that ever explained, or does he just know?
I had some questions about that too, which I think that's a spoilery kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, I mean, is it bad for everybody, or is it just, does he just, this is not spoilery, does he just know that that's going to hurt the dog? So, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy this, what you're selling me here, but I think you're full of shit. There's something off here. and I see what you're doing, and I see why she wouldn't have flown after her ship, because she's super fast and she's powerful. She's got the yellow sun on that planet, right? She's got all her powers and everything else, but he shot her dog, and she's attached to the dog because that's the only person or thing that she can relate to at this point in her life. But then they get, like I said, they get into this Kryptonian explanation, and I'm sitting there thinking, how does he know? How does he know these things? And matter of fact, even later on when they get on the planet, which he leads her to, he obviously knows that as well. And then not only that, he then explains that he knows that, but you never know how he knew that.
Right.
So
but he also doesn't do much with it to his advantage, which is a weird lapse.
It is
as well.
Lapse.
So
it is a weird lapse. So that's one negative for me. There's a lot, and again, this probably all comes from the same thing I think we're all complaining about. There's another version of this movie where things are probably more explained and more played out. The Krim character it's not the fault of Matthias that that he doesn't work for me. It's the fault of the movie. They don't give him the heft that he needs to be a bad guy, in my opinion. They don't. He's evidently indestructible in almost every single way. I mean, he takes a pounding in this movie over and over again, and I think maybe a busted lip at one point, which is weird considering how the movie ends up playing out, which is honestly the best part and most interesting part of this whole thing, which we'll talk about in spoilers. At least for me, it was the most interesting thing. It's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I will give it credit for that. I don't know if that's in the book. I haven't read the book, but I did find that interesting, especially as part of a super family decision, because it seems to be different than what I know that family to do. These super characters. Crypto was fun, but you know, Crypto, just like in Superman, little Crypto goes a long way. Here we get a lot of Crypto going an even longer way. I mean, the piss joke's good. The well, he got it on most of the paper this time, you know, which, you know, something I say after every first date I have. Get it on the paper. Make sure you get it on the paper. Okay, there we go. And they usually answer, woo, woo, woo. No. Anyway, you should see some of the dates. But anyway, I like the Lobo character. Again, his logic for setting bait or for setting up his thing in the jail, he explains it, but does it really make any sense? Right. It's like, what? I knew this was going to happen or some shit. I mean, I do and really enjoy when she's like, when that character's kicking, when Super Ruthie is kicking some ass, he's like, oh yeah, I do like that stuff. You know, and we needed more of that. The problem with the Lobo character is, and it's going to be a big problem for DC if they plan on going forward, Lobo is a hard R character. Maybe you could even border on X-like character. He's definitely a Zack Snyder type character. And he's the kind of character that they're going to have a real problem making him. I mean, we talked about this morning. He's kind of a progenitor for Deadpool. And he came before Deadpool did. And, you know, this kind of self-awareness of a comic book character and this kind of talking about himself in the third person sometimes in the comics and using the bastage, which is pretty much, I'm pretty positive, from the Johnny Dangerously movie. Was, you're fucking ice hole.
You fucking ice hole.
Yeah. You dirty bastage. Your mother. No. But everything just feels like skips and jumps. Like it's like a really bad album, like all scratched up. You know, you hear a little bit of music and then it skips a couple things. I haven't felt a blockbuster film. I haven't felt one this chopped up in some time. And I tend to notice that pretty quickly. I've watched a few movies in my life. This one, there's some real leaps in logic that Gunn and them are, and I don't blame Gillespie for this either, because I don't think he had final say. There's some real leaps in logic to everything. And we'll talk about it more in spoilers because, again, I had a lot of problems. I don't need movies to educate me. I just need them to be entertaining. For that, this is fine. It's as Jose said, perfectly fine. Yeah, maybe. I mean, but, you know, give me some diversity in the fight sequences. Give me something else other than what you gave me. You didn't give me enough. You just gave me the same circular, crazy, you know, what always looks like to me when we have a super character that's this fast always looks like somebody swatting flies.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
yeah. It always looks like that to me. It's like the cinematic equivalent of that scene we saw in Bros where the bee landed on Billy Eichner's neck. It's like, bee, bee, bee. But the movie has fun performances. I think everybody in the movie is good. I do not like the Krim character, but it's not the performance. I think it's the Krim character himself. Another problem is the only thing that really kind of differentiates Krim from his cronies is all the face jewelry, because most of the movie in the background, I'm looking for Krim and they all look alike. I mean, I hate to sound like some kind of weird, whatever race they are, a racist, but you know, I'm just being honest.
Racist.
I'm a space racist. That's what I am.
Space racist.
These aliens all look alike.
Yeah, they're indistinguishable from each other. That was a poor choice in their design.
They have access to a lot of cattle, though. I mean, it's a lot of leather, and they just feel cardboard cutout. They just didn't feel like and I don't know what kind of heavy. Really, honestly, I never read enough Supergirl. I don't know what kind of heavy she would have that would be interesting. Obviously, she's kind of a ancillary character, kind of a background character. You know, as is Crypto, as is Superboy, and all these super characters from the DC kind of wacky DC world. But this bad guy is not it. And in saying that, I didn't find him interesting, and that bothered me. And I didn't find Ruthie's revenge interesting. That bothered me. I did like Miley. I did like her. Is that her name? Miley or Kylie?
Milly Alcock.
Yeah, I like Miley Cyrus quite a bit. Anyway, I do. You know, it's not about the journey, guys. It's about the climb. But the two moons. I mean, and we're not talking about Power Girl this time. We're definitely going to, in the spoilers, we're definitely going to talk about the planet and the two moons.
Yes. Got it. The two suns.
The two suns? I thought they were moons. I thought one was a moon. Maybe one was a moon. Maybe one was a sun.
They were suns. We got a tag of.
Okay, that's right.
We got a tag of like solar type.
Yeah.
Each,
and we also
planet.
we get something completely I think revealed in the DC universe. I've been reading comics a long time. I don't think there's ever been a sun made of kryptonite. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think this is new. And I don't know that there ever has been.
Well, I don't think that it's kryptonite. It's a green sun, but it has kryptonite-like effects on them.
I think it's kryptonite. I think it's kryptonite.
Is it? Okay.
I think they even say so in the movie, but maybe they don't. And you're supposed to put that together, like so much else of this movie.
Yeah,
you know,
there's not a lot of explanation.
Yeah, and I don't need a lot of explanation. As a matter of fact, I usually like my films to not explain things to me. I like to put things together myself. But the problem here is all the character moments, all the decisions they make, they're not justified by what they're talking about in the movie. Outside of the revenge and outside of saving Crypto, I don't really know. I mean, all this for steel, for a piece of steel, which, you know, they could have had a good metaphor there for the Man of Steel and everything else. They missed the boat there too. And I don't know. It's a weird movie, man. It's a superhero movie with a barbarian bad guy, with a sword maker, with, Yiddish, I believe, parents. At least they sound Yiddish. We do get one of my favorite cinema conventions. Nobody can help it. It's been throughout history. There's a body of water. Somebody's going in the water. It always happens. It'll never go away. It'll be there forever. I don't know why people find that so fascinating. It drives me absolutely fucking nuts. As I saw it and I'm like, oh God, somebody's going in the water. Oh, it's Crumhope.
Yeah.
There he goes. Yep. So anyway, but I know I'm saying a lot of negative here, but here's the thing. I still enjoyed it. I still think it's worthy of a watch. I still think that the acting is good. And I think, again, I'm a mark for the Lobo character, so it's not really fair for me to say anything negative because I'm going to love everything he does and Momoa does in some capacity because I just like him as a person. I watch a lot of his documentary stuff and everything else. He's just a cool dude. He's just a guy that's into creativity and into art and into music and into building motorcycles and racing cars and cooking barbecue and drinking beer. And I mean, he's my kind of guy, you know, and we look just alike. So, I mean, you know, yeah, I'm the fat version, but
oh my gosh, stop.
I'm Momoist. There we go. Sammy Momoist. But wow, that was a bad joke even by my standards. That was a bad joke. And I tell bad jokes all the time. But I did like it. Didn't like it as much as a Superman movie. Also, is Corenswet wearing a wig?
No, he just has fantastic floppy, sexy hair like that.
It almost felt painted on though a little bit. It's like almost too perfect in this movie.
Well, I feel like his dimples look like they're special effects, but they're not. It's all corn sweat, as it were.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about on his face. I thought you were talking about his butt cheeks.
I could have been. However,
that's all I got for spoiler free.
All right. So for me, Sam and I were talking about this. If you look at all of the films that like I'm a huge fan of that I get excoriated for, Jade, Showgirls, Elektra, Madam Web, the Elizabeth Banks, Charlie's Angels, they have something in common, which is they're all female led. They're all female centric. The stories themselves also lend themselves to things that are distinctly female, thereby shutting out the male audience. So one would believe that this is completely right up my alley. And in fact, it is, because it is woman centered. It is about two women going on a journey. Here's the thing. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's amazing or epic. I also don't think it's just middle of the road. I think that there's enough here that I do like this Supergirl and how they're painting her as being kind of like punk rock and introspective and being very depressed and losing herself in, mind numbing activities. Although, I don't know, if they had thrown in her banging some space cowboys or aliens, that might have been even cooler. But I think the problem is you all have pointed it out, this script is not good. And so as this movie is opening, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I like this. It's very comic book. We're getting a separate story that's connected to the other universe. This is great. Let's go for it. It's great. It's a sci-fi Western. It's True Grit with the little girl, and she's the John Wayne character and all of that. But the problem is they don't go far enough to make it edgy. The promise that they teased us with Supergirl's entry in Superman is not delivered on, right? She is kind of punk rock. She is kind of ballsy, but they don't connect it emotionally. Like, she does all these things where you would think even someone like me is like, yeah, she's kick-ass, she's this and that, but they don't connect it to make it emotionally resonating. Yeah. So much so that at the end, when she finally talks about the arc that she's gone through, I don't see it. I didn't see it. And then I think the other issue with this film is that the greatness of other action films haunts this movie, right? She's doing it all for the dog, like John Wick. The brigands are like Mad Max. She's freeing the brides like Furiosa, right? So it's
oh yeah. I forgot about that.
It's kind of, and also I'm pretty sure a touch tone for this film, I don't know this for sure, it has to be The Fifth Element. Her spaceship looks like The Fifth Element from like the orange and all of that. Like, and so a lot of this is derivative. I see what you all are saying also about the action scenes and the choreography, but I don't know. I ate it all up. I loved it. I love the action scenes and I love the way that it was shot. The 3D was fantastic.
I like the music in the movie, the pop music and the punk music, but I don't think any of the needle drops are good.
No.
Well, so here's the other thing. James Gunn in Superman has shown us that he does love the circular action scene with the circular moving camera that we're inside it.
Yeah.
And I
don't know what else you can do with a
superhero.
superhero. I don't know what else you can do, though, honestly, with an all-powerful superhero. That's part of the problem, part of the reason why I think they keep doing that.
I mean,
well, he hit upon it. He hit upon it in Superman, right? The Guy Gardner sequence.
Yeah.
He's just striding from, stage right to stage left, and in the background you're seeing what he's doing to that army with that little shit-eating smirk on his face.
Right.
That was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
But everything else is circular. I'm sorry,
there's
Linus?
there's nothing quite like that here. It feels very rinse repeat. Linus,
at least in Superman, when it was the circular stuff, you could see what was going on.
Yeah, that is also
and
a
then
good point.
Here it's a bit of a problem. So I mean, listen, it's a sci-fi Western. It's True Grit, basically. But I think the fun thing about Superman was that they didn't redo the origin story. And the flashbacks here with the origins take away the film's momentum. It takes away the punk edginess of it all by pausing to show us what her trauma is, instead of letting us feel it organically or even going chronologically. If they were going to do that. And so I think that the problem is there's a good story here. There's good source material, and they kind of choked, which does not give me much. Well, who knows what they're going to do with Clayface and some of the other films, but I think this has to be a good early lesson for the Gunverse.
I'm not too worried about it, though, to be honest with you, because honestly, even though we all kind of like this is definitely going to be one of those where you won't have to see this to enjoy, I think, anything
the other
else
ones.
Which I don't think you'll this will be a must watch in this Gunverse, or if you want to call it that, this thing that we've become acclimated to, where everything has to be connected. This is connected, but vaguely, in my opinion.
Vaguely,
not to get into spoilers early, but there's no moment where Brainiac turns up and says, "Hello, catch me in the next film," or anything.
Right, exactly. But what's weird is the hint of the arc of Supergirl from Superman gets finished here, and I liked that. Like, I hopefully will not see another mopey Supergirl film in this Gunverse, but
I don't know. I don't know that she's I don't know that she's interesting if she isn't just a little bit punk rock all the time. I think she's more interesting when she's drunk.
Yeah. And with that, let's jump into the spoilers. So let me just start by let's start with the fact that she's on this like pub crawl, basically, right? But did we all buy that she really is turned inside and out over this trauma?
I have to bring this up again. The interplanetary pub crawl is a great idea. Okay,
it is.
It's fantastic. Sign me up.
It's also a bad idea in the case of this film because it just gives them carte blanche to create so many different types of aliens and characters. Normally, I like that kind of stuff, but I didn't find a lot of these aliens and characters very interesting.
Well,
I liked it, but how many times can you see a variation on the Star Wars Cantina scene? There was so much of that here.
I think the only standout was meth fentanyl Dobby, that one alien.
Yes,
that was about it.
What about Seth Rogen gnome?
There, Seth Rogen. There you go.
I love the set. He was great. He's like Lloyd.
Lloyd. Yeah, he was fun, but I did like the meth guy, because he literally looked like it was a regular dude with a mask on.
Yeah.
Like I was like, well, that's original. I like that. It looks so tacked on. I was like, more of that, please. Very humanoid, except for this very lumpy trunk-like face. I found very interesting. But other characters, I mean, it just feels like all willy-nilly and just kind of thrown out there. It's like, oh, we got this creation. Oh, let's go look at Warner Brothers. Let's go look at everything they have in their catalogs and their books and everything else. And I'm sure it might be in the comic. So I'm not going to say that they didn't pull it from there. And I've seen this in comics over the years and reading comics with like Green Lantern and stuff like that. But usually you see a race of people. So you see some similarities. Very little of that here. Mostly it's just like, I mean, this is the greatest melting pot galaxy film I have ever seen. I mean, there's every different variation of a creature. I think maybe once you see the same like turd monster.
Right. Yeah.
She ends up behind at one point on a bus, but then also dance is not going to happen, buddy.
Yeah. I love that part. That was great.
But also, it get back to. I'm sorry, I'm taking over this part. I don't mean to, but I love that cover version of The Middle by Jimmy Eats World. I hate the way they used it in this. It reminded me of what is it? What was the one with the X-Men? Was it Whiter Shade of Pale? What was the song when the Quicksilver character went in slow-mo? What was the song?
Oh, from Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
Good question.
I think it was Whiter Shade of Pale. I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Which is.
But let me. So
hate that song.
So let me just say this. First of all, I'm really curious about this villain thing. Okay, because the way that they set up Krem is. Ruthie's family is murdered because Krem comes and they're all scavengers and they're stealing stuff. But basically, he's kidnapping girls so he can sex traffic them, basically.
Yeah.
These are the brides, right? Mm-hmm. So in this day and age, Epstein, I just feel like he's awful enough in the fact that he's a sex trader that why this feeling that we needed something bigger or somebody bigger. Kevin, do you have any thoughts on this? Why he wasn't why some people don't think he's a good enough villain?
I just think it's his interactions with everyone else around him. As Sammy said about the way he was, portrayed, and that's, choices were made in that way. But you see him kill the people and take the woman. That's kind of it, other than the interactions with Supergirl and Ruthie later. Like, you should see this, I don't know, like a path littered with carnage that are just following, some of that. You should see more impact on so many different people who are either directly, confronted by him or are in communities or villages or towns that have been destroyed because of him on his singular mission, to be some intergalactic Epstein.
Okay, so you think we didn't
Epstein? I love that.
Two words I didn't think I would say today.
That's two words that I never thought I would hear. And now I have this weird image in my head of Jeffrey Epstein dancing to the Beastie Boys song.
Whoa! But so Kevin, you think that they didn't show enough of an impact. So, for example, like in Superman, when the guy gets executed in the hall of like cages or whatever it was, that really showed you that Lex Luthor is a badass, right? He just kills that person, shoots him in the head. Horgan, your thoughts on the villain here? Did you feel him Krem menacing enough, or?
So it basically, like, pretty much to reiterate kind of what I touched on earlier, I think his acting, the actor did a great job, but they didn't build the character up enough to make him interesting enough, like, okay, he traffics women. Yeah, he murdered this kid's family, but there's still something missing. There's something missing in the ingredient to make him a menacing character. And again, I think, not to reiterate what we've all been saying, that boils down to the script, because the actor was great. He was fine. He delivered his lines. I didn't mind the look of him. He looked cool, but he just, there was something there, man, that just wasn't. You need to have your antagonist as strong as your protagonist in this type of scenario. And I think he just didn't have it because of the way the script was written,
So another thing that went through my head with this film is I am all for needle drops. I am all for, using music at the right time. But the music in here and the needle drops borderlined on annoying as fuck. Like, I was like, oh great, here's another indie rock song while this action scene rages. Linus, you're the music guy. What did you think of the use of the music in this film, and the needle drops?
I think I agree with you. And even more of the problem, I can't remember a single piece of the score. And I liked what they did with Gunn's Superman film. They had a proper score. It reused some of the John Williams stuff, and it brought that new theme in that's sort of tied it all together. And then you had a couple of needle drops, but it was kind of like diegetic stuff. And
Yeah.
This was, like you said, it was just a bit obnoxious.
So the thrust of the film is, Ruthie wants revenge for her family being killed. Her brother goes in a really horrible way, which was very sad. Now, I have a question to pose to all of you. Mm-hmm. Normally, lately, I have seen child actors that don't read precocious, that don't read like, here's a directed performance. Unfortunately, Eve Ridley, she's the little girl that plays Ruthie. I thought her performance was way affected, way directed. It didn't feel like a little girl. It really didn't.
She was very drama school.
Yeah. Anyone have thoughts on that?
Well,
because every time she spoke, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Acting 101.
It wasn't so much how she spoke, right? It's her facial expression, right? She had the same Home Alone look.
Yep.
After she didn't listen, she was like,
yes.
If you freaking listened, you wouldn't have that. What the hell's wrong with you, girl?
Right.
Come on.
Right. I don't think, and I don't think there was even exactly, and I don't think there was even enough.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was even enough scolding on the part of I almost said Wonder Woman, of Supergirl to correct her either. It was kind of like, all right, come on, kid, we're gonna kill the people that killed your parents.
Yeah.
But and then we get the Inigo Montoya thing, which we talked about. I was half expecting her to be like, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my parents.
Yeah, now if she had said that, saw Krem, and went into just like the movie Weapons, started running at Krem with those arms going, I'd have had much more respect instead of her just having that Home Alone look on her face. It was, I honestly, and this is just real quick, I honestly thought that was the same actress from Kong X and Godzilla. Because I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm tired of just summon Kong to kill Krem.
Yes, or Godzilla.
And let's get it done.
That would have been great.
But it's different actors.
Right, we did when it comes to the Krem bad guy thing. There's one more thing I want to make sure I mention, and you guys did not mention the most evil thing he does, the most diabolical, terrible, evil thing. He finishes off a used bowl of cereal. That is fucking gross.
Yeah,
that is gross.
Yeah,
and not only that, he drank the milk.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
borders, listen,
that borders on. I mean, that is insanity.
Yeah, and
intergalactic Epstein is all I'm gonna say.
Intergalactic sex trafficking. That's terrible. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, don't
old
eat
cereal.
Yeah, don't eat soggy Cheerios. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's level.
You know what was interesting too, and it goes back to what I was saying about the script, right? Ana had source material. She obviously sourced a lot of her story, her script work off of. Krem, and I apologize for any spoilers about the comic itself. Krem is a totally different character in that comic.
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah,
and he's definitely a swashbuckling badass bandit.
Does he have power? Does he have power in the comic?
He does have some use of magic, which, if comic book nerds, that is pretty much the biggest weakness to Superman and Supergirl, magic. Mm-hmm. So, it was interesting that I saw this chase and, just hearing him talk, like you said, Sammy, it got to the point saying show, because every time he started talking, I started hearing Carl from Sling Blade. Every time he started talking, it's like, Krem, what are you doing with all those girls? I kind of woke up caging them. It's come on.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like a psychotic Jim Carrey. He was Schonaerts was trying to throw in all these weird idiosyncrasies, and it just kind of didn't work.
Yeah, and he kind of being a pop music fan or a popular music fan like I am, he kind of walked like Fred Durst. I don't know what was up with the walk.
Oh my god!
I was like,
Intergalactic Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, thought he was going to break into some. Give me something to break. Yeah, yeah.
I thought he did it all for the cookie.
Yeah, for the cookie. Yeah.
Let me pose this question too. Now that we're in the spoiler section, the flashbacks. I had a real problem with the flashbacks. I was really hoping this wouldn't be an origin story, but I felt like
I didn't like them. I can tell you that.
I felt like the flashbacks really just halted everything, especially her relationship with the father, which just kind of went nowhere. Thoughts on that, anybody? If you guys just want to jump in.
It sets up the kryptonite poisoning angle for the story, so it sets that up. I guess it sets up a nice little drama sequence of us knowing and understanding possibly why Supergirl is so traumatized.
Yeah.
Unlike
Clark,
she's
the last of her kind. Everybody was dying.
Yeah, and unlike Clark, she's aware of that happening, whereas Clark came to Earth not aware of anything, right? So
right. He had to learn afterwards.
Right. So yeah, his trauma comes from being Clark, whereas her trauma comes from actual trauma. So it does set up all that stuff and everything else, but I just found it, I didn't like the way they looked. Those flashback sequences, they looked like J.J. Abrams making like, I don't know, like a Supergirl TV show. It just,
yeah. Game of Thrones, Supergirl edition.
Yeah.
I agree that they kind of nerfed the pace in a bit, but in and of themselves, I did quite like them, and I thought it was kind of interesting that we got the reference to this Jor-El being a bit of a space fascist, and we get to find out that's more of a Jor-El problem than a Krypton problem at large, which was quite interesting.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting patiently to bring up my biggest problem. So I'm gonna let Linus finish, and then I got to bring this up because I am chomping at the bit. I am
do it. And then we do it, and then we want to talk about that ending that is very surprising.
This is all about we'll talk about that very much, that last ending. Let's just talk about the whole moon brigand sequence. The brigand moon sequence. Hey,
okay. I think it's two suns. There's a green sun, and then there's a yellow sun.
It's suns.
It is suns. I just keep saying moon because Anyway, because I'm stupid. But the truth is, he brings her to this place because again he knows that kryptonite is bad for her, or at least it seems like he does, because that's set up. But he doesn't move on her, I guess, because he probably doesn't know where she's at. She's in a cave and everything else while she's sick. He waits to do most of his work when the sun comes up. And I'm like,
there should have been a scene of them marauding
now, maybe
while the green sun is up there.
Again, it's something that I put together, but maybe he didn't know that the yellow sun gives her power. Maybe he just thought, maybe it was all luck. But see, the problem I have with that is the poison darts and all of that stuff. Plus, and this is the most shameful part to me, she gets hit with darts. We go inside her body, Fantastic Voyage style. We're seeing cellular activity. We're seeing things turn green. To eliminate that, she just gets into the sunlight and she gets better. Why the fuck didn't you just do that with Crypto?
You cannot give up on me.
Because they told her not to move him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because
that's the one thing they listen to.
Well, I was just saying they set that up because they could have taken him off planet, but it would have accelerated the poison, so he had to
That's what they said, but there was a yellow sun on that planet too, because that's why she was there.
Correction, it was a red sun planet.
Oh, red sun.
It was.
Yes. Right, right. Okay.
And so remember, they're just humans. She's just human.
Oh, that's right. She could feel pain on that. She liked the red sun planet because she felt something.
She could feel something. Yeah. Because remember, she does the.
So I am clearly stupid, and I didn't care.
Stop.
Wasn't the dart that got Crypto as well? Was that wasn't kryptonite, was it? That was just poison, and they had to go.
It was just it was the poison.
Shot him with full can of Raid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could have sworn maybe it was my imagination. I could have sworn
because they were going for the antidote that he carried on him.
Right.
But that's
the other thing I don't understand.
Well,
why didn't any of the other brigands have the antidote? Why is he the only keeper?
And why does he only have enough to save one dog?
Yeah.
Oh
They
my
used
God!
the entire antidote.
Oh my! At the end when they're solving him, she takes the whole fucking vial, and I was like, oh fuck! What if it? Why? It's
Yeah. Could you imagine if crackhead Dobby, that alien, saw him doing that, and she would be like, he would have had the type of face. It's like, come on.
It's just they're just like there's just a lot of moments in this movie where it's just like these things that are there.
Yeah.
They're just machinations. They're just machinations for the story
to keep the plot going.
Yeah, just to keep things going forward and jumping to the next thing and the next thing.
So meanwhile, Ruthie goes all badass on that guard in the cage, and it was like, why weren't you doing that shit earlier? like now you are a ninja. I don't know. It was just so weird.
Yeah, it did have a good moment though where Lobo's explaining himself, and then he looks up and she's went up to the vent. And he's like, little shit.
Yeah.
I do like that moment. I mean, it's totally
kind of. Go ahead, Linus.
I have a very specific gripe with Lobo. I was a big fan of Lobo growing up in the 90s, but I always pictured that he would talk like Macho Man Randy Savage. And,
oh yeah,
mean man.
Yeah. Which
actually that was my next segue. How we all felt about Lobo being brought to the screen. I have no context, but
real quick, let me. Go ahead, Linus. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's one quick thing, and he didn't say Fetal's gears. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't say that. There's a couple things he didn't do. There's things that he did, but there's a few things that he normally would say that he didn't say.
Did he say frag?
He did say frack.
Did he say frack?
Yeah.
I didn't hear him say frack.
You know, because it kind of circled back about the flashbacks, right? This is where again I had the problems where I was talking about, you know, it's like his 15-second his commercial background was coming in because it's like you're getting into a show or you're getting into a movie, it's really good. Why do I need to see 5 men with erectile problems? Yeah. Why do I have this commercial right here, right now? If it had been me, right? I thought if you had taken, you know, 90% of those flashback sequences, put them together and front loaded it to the movie and then have her wake up at a bar or in her spaceship out of a hangover.
Yeah.
I think it would have made a lot more sense to where Supergirl was at that time, which not exactly, but it was quite how Woman of Tomorrow starts, right? It would have made a lot more sense and then finish it off, you know, with maybe one, maybe at most 2 more. But to your point, Jose, you know, it's like I'm watching it, I'm trying to stay into it, but all of a sudden, you know, you yank on my sack and tell me I shouldn't pay attention anymore. Look at this. It's like, come on. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Lobo. For folks who don't know, Lobo is probably the most dangerous character in all of DC universe. All right.
Okay. Other characters are scared of Lobo.
Yes.
Even though he's ridiculously over the top and everything else, and he usually just pops up for comedic relief. But you know, even in this movie, you see Supergirl like, oh shit, that's Lobo.
Yeah. Shh, don't talk. Don't look. Don't do your Home Alone
even
face.
She fears him. Yeah, exactly.
But me and Jose did talk about this earlier this morning. We did have a little bit of a problem with his look. I mean, I don't know if he needed the latex abs and the latex muscles.
It was really weird.
Momoa's kind of built, but it made him look puffy.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah, made him look puffy. Yep.
I don't know. It's
actually
just,
Kevin, I want to ask you this. One of the problems I had with the film was, first of all, I don't know, Crypto is cute, but I feel like just overused, right? But I think they added sequences with Superman. I found the scenes with Superman to be a little intrusive. Like I didn't need a reminder that she is his cousin, that this is connected to Superman. I feel like you could have taken out a lot of those extra Superman scenes and the film would have still just been fine. What are your thoughts on putting in Superman in the scenes that he was in, basically?
Oh, I mean, you're asking the wrong person because I loved Corenswet as Superman.
Okay. I see.
Linus, I haven't also watched it 4 times drunk just because I don't drink anymore. But if I'm still drunk, I would be watching it drunk as well. I like him. I think, you know, and this may be a slightly controversial statement, but I think through the years of modern cinema, I don't think they've really ever done badly at casting a Superman, even though we've had our doubts about every actor for every different chapter. And I think Corenswet is great.
Cavill.
I say for every different
Yes, exactly.
Well, okay, I mean on the big screen, so don't get
Yeah.
There
Superman,
you go. Okay, got it.
Superman as a character suffers from the same thing that Bond, that we talked about, Jose, that Bond suffers from, is once you're Superman, you're always Superman. So Corenswet, whether we like it or not, he's always going to be Superman. Honestly, Cavill or however you want to say his name, to me, every time I see him, I see Superman. I can't not see Superman. Even Brandon Routh. When I see Brandon Routh, I'm like, oh, there's Superman.
Yeah.
It's a haunting. It's a blessing and a curse to be that character, as I imagine being Bond would be, because I will never see Daniel Craig, even pre-Bond. Now, when I go back and watch something like Road to Perdition or something
Layer
like
Cake.
that, Layer Cake, I'm going to think, oh, there's Bond.
There's Bond.
Yeah, since you guys brought it up, I got to ask then. How about Nick Cage as Superman? Right, the best ever. Right?
Yeah, that would have been
that would have been amazing.
It would have been interesting because he's so big. Nick Cage is, like, when he's performing. Obviously, he probably wouldn't play the role that way. Although I do not know that for a fact. You know, Nick Cage, he does whatever the hell he wants, it seems. But can you imagine what his career would have been if he would have been Superman? I mean, it's one of the more bizarre things when I think about it, because he's so big. He's got his own. His own acting style.
Yeah.
So, and people say it's Cage-like. You even heard me with the Obsession film, and that the girl, she out cages Cage.
She does.
Yeah, she sure does.
Yeah. And it's this thing where he's like super quiet. I'm super quiet. I'm Nick Cage, and he's like super quiet, and then he'll just all of a sudden scream. And then he'll bring it back down a notch or two. And it's like Gary Oldman in Romeo's Bleeding, that film. We talked about that film too, Jose, this morning.
Yeah.
But it's like those performances, or The Professional. The Professional, he does the same thing too, where he'll be real quiet, and then all of a sudden he'll just scream. And it's like, wow, that is a lot. So I can't imagine what that would have been like. And I think that the only way you can cast a character like Superman is you have to pick somebody like a Brandon Routh or a David Corenswet, or Cavill, or even Christopher Reeve. You have to pick actors like that, because I just don't. I mean, Thomas Jane is Superman? No.
I could see it. A dirty, sleazy Superman.
I'm trying to think I'm a big actor. I mean, Will Smith. I mean, come on. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons, but I mean, I'm just saying it's a weird character. The character's almost too big even for comics in a way.
Yeah. Maybe
of this all-powerful nature of Superman.
But strangely, they've had an easier time, I think, when they've redone Superman this time, to embrace the not naivety, but the optimism and the hope that he carries around with him, because that works in counter to the raging dumpster fire we see around us every day. I think leaning right into that has worked really well. So Corenswet appearing in Supergirl, it is, to me, it was that little extra spark that offsets against Supergirl while they're taking her on that journey. So I was happy with it.
Yeah, that's a great point, because remember, there's also I don't know if like John Horgan, did you catch it? There was that throwaway line, right, where her father talks about Jor-El, who sent his son there to Earth to be the conqueror of worlds.
Yeah.
Right. But we remember how smartly they did it. They did it very smartly, even though I disagreed with that approach. In Superman, he acknowledges and says, I don't want to be that. I'm choosing to be good. I'm choosing to do good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's weird in Superman, at least the when that came out, the Conqueror of the World thing or whatever, it felt like a weird commentary on like cancellation. It was very odd, but I don't know.
It was odd.
But Horgan, did you like the addition of Superman? I was like, my thought on it is it's just intrusive, because if we're trying to get the audience to buy into Supergirl and her journey, stop reminding us of Superman by putting Superman in. That was my issue. Did you have a problem with that?
Not really. I mean, I think that end wrap-up scene with him and her probably didn't need to be there, but I think in the beginning when he's trying to check in with her, I think although does it need to be in there? No, but I think the purpose it served for me, again, doesn't need to be there. It was just him being the big brother or big cousin. It's his only relative from Krypton, and he knows she's struggling because, like I was mentioning earlier, she came from a world where she didn't grow up in it. She lived that world. She breathed that world. He was there since he was a baby, you know, and because he cares, I think he was just checking in on her. It wasn't necessary. No, it wasn't necessary. But I think it was a nice added touch, you know.
I also didn't think that they needed their first meeting scene where, you know, he's like, oh, I don't speak Krypton or whatever. And she's clutching crypto because she's like, this is my cousin, but I can't even understand him. And I'm in this icy place. I didn't think that they needed that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird because, you know, comic book nerddom, right? You know, Kal-El does speak Kryptonian, right? Yeah. So for him to say, no habla,
I didn't speak
come on, you know, it was interesting because we kind of touched upon it, right? And again, it goes back to the script. If Ana, you're going to go back and pull some of the origin story or the background or some of the character development from the comics, and more specifically, you know, the 2004 Superman Batman line, you know, then explain yourself a little bit more. Like you said, Jose, right? You're crash landing on Earth with crypto. Well, they kind of go through it in the comics of that transition of her arriving, being unsure of herself, and how she acclimates to that. And it touches upon to the earlier question, right? Did Corenswet need to be on screen? Well, in the comics, he is an overprotective cousin because, remember, for so many years, he thought he was alone.
Yeah.
Now here's his cousin. He's going to protect, because in the comics, of all people, she gets kidnapped by Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman takes her to Themyscira to train her so she knows how to fight and protect herself. And he goes, you know, based off the title, batshit crazy, and tries to say, what are you doing? Right. Yeah. But it's all for that better good. And again, going into the, you know, the reboot, it's like, if you're going to try to take storylines or to build a foundation to create a connection to that character, to the very early question that you asked, Jose, is like, why were there so many flashback scenes, right? Put them all together, explain it, front load it, explain it, you're done with it, and you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah. All right. So
there was one other thing I was going to add to that, and now I've completely forgotten.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah. Don't you hate when that happens? It happens more and more the older I get.
Well, if you remember, here's the last thing that I think I'm going to round table, which is one of the complaints of the Snyderverse. Go ahead.
Oh no, we got to address the one thing.
What is
Supergirl is a murderer.
I was just about to say that. So here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
so this is what I was going to address. One of the big things about the Snyderverse was people were up in arms. Batman killed somebody or Superman killed somebody. You know, it was Superman killed somebody. There is this like gasp of like, oh my God, they're not killers. They're heroes. They're good people. They try to save people or whatever. Now in this movie, Supergirl talks Ruthie out of killing him, saying it's not going to solve anything, won't bring him back. You're just setting yourself up for, you know, depression, this and that. And then she fucking guts his ass with a sword.
Yeah.
That to me was a shocking moment because I was like, oh shit, she doesn't share Kal-El's love of other species and life and things like that. She just was like, I fucking hate you. Yeah. How did we all feel about this?
To me, I thought that was the bravest thing they did in the movie. Now, I don't need that. I don't need my heroes to kill. I don't need them. But I never thought I'd ever see a Superman character, a super family, as I call it. I never thought I'd see that. And so that opens up some interesting potential future stuff.
That was the edge I was hoping they would give the Supergirl character rather than just being like punk rock, forthright, kick-ass.
Well,
right?
I mean, you got the angle of youth too. She's still younger, so maybe killing people seems like an answer to her. Yeah. Maybe she loves her dog that much. I mean, I loved my dog. I mean, he passed away a few months ago, so and I still live with the ghost of that every day in this house.
I'd definitely kill somebody who hurt my dog.
Oh yeah, I definitely would. I definitely would.
There you go.
I'd be damn close. Anyway. I'd be like Ruthie. I'd be like, you know, my name is Inigo Montoya. No.
Yeah.
But the
She could have at least lopped off an ear, a penis, a finger, something.
Yeah. I mean, I just
let her do it.
Yeah,
Definitely something.
I just found it fascinating that they decided to go there with the character. And I think, honestly, they're setting up something there with their kind of superverse, with Clark kind of coming to some kind of conclusion with that, and with her, and there being some type of split in the relationship. And that's what they're setting up. I think they're setting
with all
up.
of you talking about her dying. I can see them killing her basically in a future film.
Yeah, you can see it. Sorry, Linus, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I got that too, and I thought I hadn't mentioned what I thought of Milly Alcock's performance. I thought she was great, and if she does get like anti-monitored or whatever, then it will have the proper the proper dramatic weight, because she's very likable.
She is.
I thought her killing Krem at the end, it was. They kind of got to do the same sort of beat that they did in Superman with Hawkgirl killing Netanyahu or whatever his name was.
Yeah. Exactly. Horgan, your thoughts on
the women
on
in
her
these movies are vicious, man.
They are
vicious. Let's see.
I like that. I like that.
Wonder Woman kidnaps Supergirl and takes her in a train, and we need a scene of Superman looking at the camera, going, "Women, am I right?"
Yeah. I love it. That's good.
Horgan, what do you think of her sticking it to Krem and killing him?
I think for me, I'm gonna do two things, guys. I'm gonna refer to the comic book because I think the comic book, the way that it ends, is just so fucking batshit crazy. And you think this is dark? This is even 100 times darker. In the comic book, Krem gets sent to the Phantom Zone for like 200 years. You flash forward, Ruth is still alive, Supergirl is still alive, Crypto is still alive. They pull his ass out of the Phantom Zone, and basically he begs for his life and said he learned his lesson, and then old Ruth basically stabs him and he dies after spending 200 years in the Phantom Zone. So
I like that.
That's how they end the comic book.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme.
So that's why I have to believe this is all being set up for something for Supergirl in the cinematic universe. That scene is there for a reason.
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah, it made some changes. Honestly, I think it was really just a simple matter of Supergirl not wanting to have this girl have that stain her memory and stain her life for the rest of her life, because she's still such a young kid. And I think Supergirl, even though I think she's learned a lot throughout this film, she's seen so much death and she's been through so much. It's not going to be the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like her taking a life after all this stuff she's been through isn't going to have the same impact as it would as if she let Ruthie go ahead as a young, 13, 14-year-old kid take this person's life, And that's my take.
I liked it. I mean, it was kind of like, I don't want that for you, but I'm already there, so I'll fucking kill him.
It's kind of ballsy. I mean, it's kind of ballsy. Yeah. It really is. I mean, it's like grabbing John's sack like he did earlier. They really grab you by the Korean cool sack. Bean.
Yes.
Oh man.
Well, Kevin, what did you think?
Yeah.
I liked it. I agree with John that I think it was just as much about kind of removing that temptation, and that young girl can't then just keep plotting to go round and round in circles for this revenge. And I think Supergirl thought, I've done this before. She might be in a slightly better place, but it's like now we can all start moving on. He's gone.
Yeah.
That'll do.
So let me wrap up, this question by simply saying, I think in a sense you're right, Sammy, that they were setting something up. But I had a different thought, because
right.
what is hitting HBO here in August, I believe?
Oh, yeah. Lanterns, right?
Lanterns.
The Lanterns.
Oh, they're going to put her in the show.
Well, possibly, right? Because that is a dark act, right? To murder somebody. she still has anger. She still has rage. I alluded to it way earlier when we talked about it, right? Is she going to become Supergirl, Red Daughter of Krypton?
Yeah.
A red ring wielder, right? Because and I apologize if you don't know that complete story. One of the major characters that kind of saves her from that eventual life and staying as a Red Lantern, which is Rage, is somebody we saw last year in Superman, Guy Gardner.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So is there a foundation?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Is there a foundation that they're trying to go with? I'm not quite sure because the negatives with the script kind of has me trying to put together what I'm seeing by guessing instead of saying, okay, you gave me a hint over here. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, there's another hint over here. Yeah, crypto, whatever. Oh, now that's really interesting. And trying to see that, whatever path, whatever vision you're having, Gunn, for this DCU, because I really want it to work. I'm a DC fan.
Yeah.
Make it a little coherent and deliver it. Not so much spoiler, PSA folks, there are no end scene credits. Okay. So don't sit there.
Yeah. There's no tags. So don't stay.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that final scene was originally a post-credit scene, and they plopped it in where it is now instead.
Yeah. That's the rumor.
That works.
It's interesting to see kind of what I'd like that. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but I also don't like it because if you want me to support, your initial vision or where you want to go with this, give me a little bit more meat on those bones that you're throwing our way. Yeah. I'm sorry, Linus, I cut you off. You're saying?
No, that was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry.
No. My only comment was I hate Superman's apartment. It is a shitty, sparsely decorated, crappy apartment.
First of all, it's Clark Kent's apartment.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he put the glasses. Oh, he didn't. Well.
Yeah.
He talks semantics. He didn't put the glasses on.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, he shows he's coming home in his work clothes. He's going to change.
He is coming home in his work. He is, in fact, coming home in his work. He's going to change
into his jammies. He's going to throw on his pajama pants.
That fucking IKEA TV stand thing.
Yeah.
He's
tiny little
salary. Okay.
His tiny little HD TV. Forget it. I hate it.
He's trying to remain modest. I mean, you could, let's be honest. You could probably show a movie on Guy Gardner's butt. Nathan Fillion has a large ass for a male. I just want to say. Jose, you got any comments?
Sure does.
Jose's all the way there for
it. Sure does. This is why I'm a Nathan Fillion fan. Okay.
He's filling those pants up. We definitely down here we call that a honky tonk badonk badonk. That's right.
I am a lamb.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna rewatch Superman. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Sammy.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Anyway, you were
always think of that.
Say, John.
But no,
John,
the only thing I was gonna end my thoughts on were kind of touching back to what you were saying, Nance, about more meat on the bones. I think if they would have turned this into like an HBO 8-episode arc miniseries, and they would have added the meat on the bones, like the stuff again to be that guy going back to what made the graphic novel so special. I think he would have had something really special because I feel like the short runtime is great, but I feel like they try to do so much in that little time, and I think they accomplished so little, And I think when you have like a mini series, it's kind of like, in a sense, almost like a novel or a graphic novel. You have a little chance more to develop the characters more. You know what I mean? And
expand.
I haven't read the graphic novel, but I guarantee you they shot most of that stuff. I would almost bank on they shot most of it, and then we're like, we need to chop this thing up. It's not testing well. It's uneven. It's still uneven.
It's they shot. I would say what, John, if you were to estimate like 60%, because again, comic book nerd, in the World's Tomorrow or Woman of Tomorrow, they brought back a character that was also killed off in episode 7 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Comet. Remember Comet?
The super horse. Yes.
The super horse. Yeah. The man who was magic. Yeah. I swear to God. Yeah. Magically turned into a horse. He died in Crisis. They brought him back in Woman of Tomorrow, but they didn't put that part in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about DC. DC always felt like somebody in charge was like really high.
I mean, how else did it get Mr. Mitzelplex, or Fat Fight, right?
Oh, Lord, Mixelplick.
Or Gleek Monkey.
If people want to play along this week on this video, just look at the amount of times I'm bemused while character names are being bandied around and half man, half horse.
I think Linus is getting ready to drop something on us here. I don't know what it is.
Well, I mean, when Grant Morrison was writing Justice League of America in the 90s, he has said as much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That is true. That is a true
that's
story.
That's the great thing about DC is they had guys like Grant Morrison and what's his name, Alan Moore, and people like that came in and took these ne'er-do-well characters, these Z-grade comic book characters that DC was doing nothing with, and made them relevant and interesting by giving them a lot of pathos and everything else and stuff like Doom Patrol,
Swamp Thing, baby, Swamp Thing,
all that kind of stuff.
Gosh, yes,
and Watchmen, obviously, and things like that. They just, he didn't get to use the characters he wanted to use for Watchmen, so he just kind of created some of his own, but. That whole ideology it's really, for some, I know some folks kind of don't like the adultification of comics in the 80s. Yeah. But obviously for me, in my generation, that's the sweet spot, the Frank Miller, all that stuff. It's kind of the sweet spot. But if I do like the cheese, I like the old DC cheese, and the old DC cheese is great.
Yeah.
Really
it
great
is.
cheese.
It really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really
that stuff
is.
from the 50s and the 60s, some of that stuff, and it's great.
Yeah, it's wacky. Yeah,
really
it's completely off the wall. Like, seriously, somebody at DC had LSD before anybody knew what LSD was, because
they invented it.
Yeah,
they invented it. They gave it to crackhead Dobby and Supergirl. So we got a little left.
I love it.
We got a little left. Why don't you take a little?
Amazing.
Whiff.
Okay. Well, I guess.
It's a, by the way, I don't think I ever said either, but it's a light watch. It's a light watch.
Yeah. It's a light watch.
Yeah. It's a watch for me too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely a watch.
I shan't be picking up the fancy 4K though, and I'm kind of glad of that because I've only got so much space.
Linus, you have to get the director's cut. You have to get the full 2 hour.
He pulled me back in.
Linus, I have to warn you. Any collector that says they're quickly running out of space is a collector on the verge of a problem, because I am that guy. I have stuff in cases. I have stuff on shelves. I have stuff stacked on the floor.
Oh man,
I got shit everywhere.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
I know Kevin's a big collector too, so I know he's got shelving and all that stuff. I've seen his collection.
Yeah. I get the stare. I now get the hard stare whenever there's a delivery. The hard stare.
I get it a lot too.
I know it well.
So Kevin, do you do the face when you see a delivery and you get the stare? You go.
Yeah.
I run down the stairs.
Yeah. You tell your significant. You just say, run down. You tell your significant other, look, I am Kevin. I am of the clan. Whatever.
I'm getting a delivery from the Yellow Hills.
What you don't understand, there was a huge sale. I pre-ordered it months ago.
Right, exactly. That's what I always say.
What I love about this community is we actually have some listeners who have gone through that and actually have went through the process of getting PO boxes in different towns in order to get deliveries on the sly, and then just slide them into their collection like nobody would notice. Well, hang on now. You're not getting movies anymore, but somehow we have the third shelf. Where'd this come from?
I know, right?
Cool. And some of you that listen to this know who you are. So,
well, let me finish. Let me just finish and wrap this up with just one little thought, right? Since we're talking physical media, and we're talking Supergirl, and we're talking, we mentioned the script, right? It still floors me, and I've talked about this on Not a Bomb. I talked about it on our podcast. I simply do not understand how DC's animated house can pump out all these fantastic animated movies.
Yeah.
Marvel cannot do it, but Marvel pumps out the amazing live action movies.
Yeah.
Why do they work in different time zones or something? Why doesn't walk your ass down the hall to talk to those animation department guys to understand their process, how they are able to do it? Because of all things, guess what? They're pumping out, I think later this year, one of the other greatest Batman storylines ever. Nightfall.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It looks amazing.
You know,
I have that animated set, and I'm like, why can't the movies be like this?
Exactly, right? And so it's like, you guys need to talk, because you guys can have something really. You mentioned Teen Titans. You know, we mentioned freaking Swamp Thing. Their House of Mystery. You know, the Long Halloween. Fantastic stuff. Those are definitely worthy to add to your collection, folks. I don't care if you have to stick them underneath your sofa. Get those discs, collect them, because they're amazing.
Yeah.
Is perhaps the answer that the animation department have read the source material?
That could be.
I think you nailed it.
Ding dong.
Do you understand why we asked
Exactly.
Linus to join? Because he has the brilliance to know what Dan Gillespie doesn't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Well, I want to thank
All right,
you for coming on. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you. It was
Thanks.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was corralled quite well and under control. I'm actually surprised. It wasn't much more chatting over top of each other than there was.
Yeah. And in case anybody was wondering, I actually did call Linus and go, "What are you wearing?"
And here I am. I went Marvel. Whatever. Always got to be different.
I went Disney because it's Chewbacca was so.
Well, you can never go wrong with Chewbacca. You know, that's always a good choice. So,
I both look like Chewbacca and I'm wearing Chewbacca. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. This has been
absolutely
a time.
Yes.
Before we go, why don't we just do a quick shout out? Of course, Sammy, thank you for the Gentleman's Guide to Midnite Cinema. You guys kill it. You've been a huge inspiration. You and Will, what you guys do over there every month. Do you want to tell everybody what's coming up over at the Gentleman's Guide?
Yeah. I am the granddad on this show of podcasting. I really am.
You are.
Look like
these are a lot of my pod children. These are my pod. These are not my kids, my pids. These are my pids. My pids, PIDS. Jose and I just finished up, as we record this, we just finished up wrapping up Pride Month. And we did Bros and why did I forget again? Zorro the Gay Blade. So that was fun.
Yep.
Awesome.
So good.
But we do that every year. I think we've done it 3 years in a row now. And it's been great. It's been great. It's a great way to include a lot of our listeners who I know are LGBTQ plus, and I consider it an honor to actually do those episodes for them, because even today I think people can feel slighted. All of us, not just that one particular community, but I think all of us can feel that way. So I think the inclusion is very important.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great to be able to do that. Unfortunately, Will wasn't with us this past week. He was busy doing something else, but it was important that what he was doing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it did involve baby oil and
Yellow Hills.
Yeah. And well, 2 pairs of shoes, but only 1 sock. I don't know. Something weird's going on over there. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And interpretive dance of America the Beautiful, actually. So,
with maple syrup all over his body.
Ooh, there you go. And Kevin, what's going on over at Raiders of the Podcast? What do you guys got going for us this week?
The usual nonsense. Just a couple of movies. Can I just take a moment though to say, because Sammy's sitting there like John Voight and Anaconda going, "Look at the beautiful babies! Look at the beautiful babies!
Look at these babies!"
It was I was delighted to jump on today and find him here, because I listened to hundreds of podcasts now. About 15 years ago, I didn't listen to any. And somebody said, "Have you heard of podcasts?" I was like, "I don't really do that." They said, "I think you'll quite like one called The Gentleman's Guide to Midnite Cinema." I was like, "Really?" And they were the first to listen to it. They're the constant I listen to it. I love the inclusivity and the good and the bad jokes and everything. So Sammy, this is a real bucket list moment to be on recording with you. Thank you.
It's great. That's very touching. Hopefully, I'm serious. Hopefully, I don't start crying here. But it's one of those things where I do these shows and I wonder how have we not had Kevin on? It's just one of those things, right? And so we got to get Kevin on at some point. Got to get Linus on at some point. Got to get the Johns on at some point. A lot of it just comes down to scheduling, but I am very touched by the fact. Who was the person that told you to check out the Gentleman's Guide to Midnite Cinema? Who was that maniac?
Honestly, it was nobody like on Facebook or social media. Some guy I worked with years ago in a hotel job.
Really?
And he was just like, it was just,
awesome.
you should check this out. And,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
so
I've
cool.
But yeah,
got
you
to
have been
thank for the
a part of our
continuing-
community forever. Yeah, forever. I still laugh when I think about it was you, I believe, that put your face on the Nymphomaniac poster when they did
yeah.
on the Lars von Trier.
Well,
Yeah,
My ex-wife was polite enough to put her feet there, and I think someone tried to report that on Facebook at one point. I'm like, there's no nudity in this.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I think I remember commenting on that picture on Facebook saying, "Then those are my legs."
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
So
Actually,
that's
Linus.
us.
Yeah, I was just about to ask Linus.
Yeah, I was going to say, Linus, your music. Where can we hear some of that or experience it?
Well, it depends what you want to hear. I'm in several things. I think most of it's on Bandcamp, like me solo stuff. That's kind of the most tuneful thing I do. And then I have a few bands. There's a grindcore band called Atomsk, which is spelt ATOMCK. You can find us at our website, which is Atomsk spelt backwards, confusingly enough, which is .com. And then I have another band, sort of shoegaze band called Thinking with Sand. We have a record out that you can buy on vinyl from a record label in Germany if you so wish to do so.
Nice.
Wow, awesome.
And then I have a really stupid noise project, which has suddenly gone viral on Instagram the last month or so, probably because of my dog watching me faff about with these guitar pedals in the video. That's called Wolf Gas. It's very stupid, and you can Google it.
Sometimes I know as a former musician myself, sometimes the stupid stuff ends up being the stuff. It always ends up being the thing you just kind of do that always people seem to remember the most.
Yeah, and I should just say as well, echo what Kevin said. The GDTMC was also the first podcast I ever heard, and
fucking crazy.
and whenever I've been on a call like this with you, Sammy, I'm always like one beer away from getting a bit Wayne's World.
Yeah, we're lucky we record. We're lucky I record with the Caliber 9 guys over there, and I always drink with them. And those things get saucy and randy, and they tend to go. Rob over there, God bless him. They go 5-6 hours sometimes recording sessions, and it's because we're getting sauced. We're trying. All of us are trying to figure out if we're on the wagon or not. Usually it starts out we're on the wagon. Usually about midway through we're off the wagon again. It's just out of control. But no, it is touching, and it is crazy to be doing this for as long as I have. To see everybody still kind of coming together, Horgan as well. He kind of came into the group, and of course John I met through Troy, who's part of the group and everything else. So it's just, again, if you'd have told me, if this is my legacy in life outside of raising my kids and hoping they're great people, if my legacy in life is that we all got to know each other, I am very, very happy about that. I am touched to the nth degree about that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, dude.
Agreed.
That bringing together people is something that I never thought I would ever be a part of. My personality, I'm very much a loner. I'm very much a quiet, reclusive kind of person. I read a lot. I watch a lot of films, obviously. I tend to stick to myself quite a bit. So being that glue, being that person, or that maybe the red sun, maybe being the green sun. I don't know. Maybe some
yellow sun.
Maybe sometimes I'm any one of those suns. But being that though, honestly, it's amazing. Will and I talk about it all the time. It's been 18 years. It'll be 18 years in a couple months, and it's just insane. 18 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, you to put it in context of Sammy was.
Same microphone, 18 years.
That's amazing.
That's even more amazing.
Yeah.
But to put it in context, Sammy was discussing the fact that his son was born like 2 years into the podcast. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And people hearing me talk about him. And then I posted a picture yesterday of me and him at the movies seeing Supergirl. And it just, it's just crazy. People are like, 16? Are you serious? It's 16 years? I remember when you had him. Like, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Insane.
Nuts.
All right.
Gentlemen, thank you all for coming on. This was an amazing experience. It was a pleasure to meet all of you guys and have this experience with you, the Super Six, as we shall say, I guess. And
I
like it.
It was a great conversation. Hopefully, we can have you guys all again on sometime in the near future. I'd love to have you guys on again.
Oh yeah, I'll do it again. It's all scheduling for me.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. I love finally meeting other folks that I've been listening to. Sammy, I'll get you some more banana pudding, buddy.
Yeah. That shit was good. That's not a euphemism, guys. That's
no, seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Actual banana pudding.
Actual banana pudding. Yeah, Southern thing, y'all.
Yeah,
This has been a blast. This has been a blast.
No, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, it's been great. All right.
Been great.
Thank you.
Guys, have a great weekend. Thanks
Yeah.
again. Take care.